slow. Check it out, they go slow.
As I fell to the ocean floor, fading light through an open door, I saw myself rise with the water. They thought they could keep me down, hold that breath and watch me drown, but all they did was push me higher. We don't care what they say, we will be here all day. We'll stay until it's over, till the world's out of sight. We will stand, we will fight, it's not over till it's over. Through the nights in the rain, through the time and the pain, we stand, we'll never fall. And then at the end of it all, we will win, we will chant, it's not over till it's over.
Whoa! Whoa!
Whoa!
What's up, guys? My webcam is all shitty. There we go. You know what? Cliff knocked it over last night and ruined
It's true.
everything.
I threw it off.
And
Spent
I'm
like 2 hours setting that up the last time, didn't we?
Yeah. So we just got the game right now. We're gonna be loading in. We're gonna be casting. God, see, Cliff messed up the webcam last night.
Shh.
But what's up, everyone? This is kind of a ghetto cast this morning.
Yeah.
But hey, man, it's Evolve.
It does the job.
We figured we'd come on this morning, hang out, cast some games, talk about Hunt 2.0 and all that stuff. So, yeah. Cliff and Rory.
Cliff and Rory.
Hey, Cones, you're just a little jealous. I know that you don't have a Turtle Rock shirt. It's cool, man. Maybe one day.
Alright, so who is this?
Who's this?
Who are these guys?
Who are these guys? We got the Dildozers.
Also known as DD.
DD is what we're going to be calling them. And then
Slim Revival Party.
yeah, Slim Revival Party.
Slim's not allowed in this right now, right?
No, this is the last ESL before Slim's allowed again. So
Oh,
basically,
man.
this is the last fun ESL,
Oh man.
and then everyone's gonna cry and hate their lives if
Oh,
they're a monster player.
Spot.
What's up, James Bot? What's up, everyone? We're glad y'all woke up on a Sunday morning like we did.
Oh man, I don't know if I'm glad yet.
No,
We'll
you're
find out.
glad.
We'll see if this is worth.
It's always worth it. Evolve.
It's true.
But we're getting into the game right now. Gonna get the picks here soon. I don't know if he's even messaged us yet.
It's okay if we don't get it.
Oh God, you have open mic on, Cliff.
Do I have open?
See, we're just casting noobs, man.
Do
It's
I?
horrible.
I never have open mic on. Hello.
Yeah,
See?
you do.
Nothing. You must have hit that. Did you hit caps lock? Yeah, whatever. Doesn't matter.
Horrible. So yeah, as soon as we get the picks in line, hoping they're starting up the picks and bans and all that, we can start talking about them. But until we get information from them, I think we can talk a little bit about that Hunt 2.0 patch that dropped yesterday.
Yep.
All them patch notes, getting ready for Tuesday. I know you're a big fan of this patch because now you can actually win games as Monster Cliff.
God, it's oh, and then we're already starting.
We're starting the game.
Oh my god.
Well, we can start talking about the game as soon as we load in.
Yeah,
Easy.
It's true. Do we have any questions to get us started?
Yeah, we can start answering questions. Like, we're gonna basically how today's gonna go. We're gonna cast games, talk about the games, just like any other ESL Sunday, and then in between, if you guys have any questions about Hunt 2.0 or want us to explain change or something like that, we can talk about it in the in between.
Yep.
Basically, no music until the end of the stream when we sign off.
Yep.
We don't do music here.
No music.
Production quality, God damn it, Moiser, you didn't add me earlier.
Yeah.
Make me angry.
Me.
Well,
He doesn't know who that guidance guy is.
Yeah.
He's
He's like, who's guidance?
some random dude
Who's
trying to
this?
add me right now.
So, but yeah, man, we got those monster changes in. Do you wanna talk a little bit about your build now for some people?
Well, if we see Goliath, this would be perfect. But I'm assuming we're gonna see Kraken. But we'll talk about Goliath.
No, I trust the anime, man. He's a Goliath player, but
Oh,
this is.
Oh shit, he is.
But we are loading in on Distillery.
What?
But we're gonna switch on over to that. You guys will see our faces soon.
Apparently, we're gonna start casting.
Yeah, we're gonna
soon.
cast starting soon, man.
That's the
Production
rumor.
quality over here at the.
Laz, Cabot, Griffin Hyde. They're rolling with that, huh? But yeah,
Man, good old Laz Cabot.
I can't talk about Goliath in such a. This game will be, assuming that these games usually go how with the Lazarus Cabot combo. It's gonna be over pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, you got Laz, Cabot, Hyde, Griffin, so it's a definite big DPS comp. You're gonna take a lot of damage if you commit at all, and it's really hard for especially a monster like Goliath. If he ends up going Goliath, he's figured that's where he was going. The animate, I don't know if you guys have seen him around, but he was always playing on the. I remember seeing him on the Pro versus Joe stream on Black Aegis a couple months ago.
Yeah.
When Dan was still doing that. And I remember Deanimate coming on there and actually getting to play against him a couple times, and just, back then he was a relatively new player to the scene, but he was like impressive. He had a lot of early signs saying that if this guy got picked up by a team and spent some time, he could actually become a really good player.
Right, totally. He actually did. He was doing really well last weekend, right?
Yeah, no, he's been doing really well. I'm definitely excited to see him pick up Monster. and get at it. Especially playing Goliath. That's another big one. Another big one for us. Every Goliath player we like. Thumbs up to them.
Totally.
We see a standard path going down the river, getting that mammoth bird eat on, and almost that mammoth bird zapping him.
Oh man, those things are delicious. So he'll probably have a really quick evolve coming up here because he's got a ton of food. He doesn't have.
Sun is just now dropping in too. Are they actually? They're not even on his path yet. Are they going down to the river?
They're just going the other way around. They know where he is. I don't think he triggered. Oh, did he trigger birds?
I don't think he's triggered birds yet. I think they got a little confused by the tracks that he left in the beginning, and they haven't. They're kind of sticking in this weird group, and they have Laz in the center of the map right now, and they haven't even.
Game is too loud.
Oh god.
We got this. We didn't prepare for this.
See, this is why we have Tim.
Oh my gosh, it's almost.
Oh Jesus.
It's already like.
Whatever. We're muting it for now.
Yep.
We'll you guys are gonna have to.
I can make sound effects while you cast.
Sound effects while we cast. That'll work. We do see they finally spotted out the Goliath, and he's gonna be on the run for now. Not nothing out of the ordinary here. Hopefully Deanimate's able to pull off a sneak. I find that this part of the map, if you get, speak of the devil, going for the sneak right away, you actually might be able to pull this off, because most teams will assume that you're going into that corner to evolve.
Oh, the Salt definitely is on his track, because you can see his vision cone. Oh, wait.
I think he missed him.
Yep.
Oh no, we'll see here. He's pinging him out over there. I do believe the support will end up seeing him, and they've got pings on him now. So,
oh,
I don't know. They're just gonna be waiting.
If he
wait,
gets domed here, he's gonna be in a
dome?
bad position. Oh, he's not close enough.
No. I saw those jetpack boosts, and I was a little worried. And I was like, man, are they going for a stage 1 dome? Like that area right there is actually a really good spot to dome with a Cabot Laz.
Yep.
You can actually end up tearing through a full armor bar of a stage 1, and even probably getting 2 to 3 bars of health if he doesn't mitigate properly.
No loops, no nothing there.
Yeah.
So.
But it seems like he's just going to get on the run game. I would assume he's going to evolve in the caves.
Yeah, he's got pretty good. Well, he's making a hard turn here, so he's probably going to try and get the absolute safe evolve off because this is a Laz Cabot comp, and as we've seen in the past, it's quite no loops, no nothing there.
Yeah.
So.
But it seems like he's just going to get on the run game. I would assume he's going to evolve in the caves.
Yeah, he's got pretty good. Well, he's making a hard turn here, so. He's probably going to try and get the absolute safe evolve off because this is a Laz Cabot comp, and as we've seen in the past, it's quite deadly. So he's definitely not going to be risky with these evolve locations.
And it seems like the sneak is so far paying off for him. They totally expected the evolve in the caves, and I would assume they think he's sneaking over there.
Yeah. And
you can tell that they're even blowing a dust. Like this is actually a really good sneak by Deanimate. This is an impressive play coming out from him.
Yeah.
And if he commits to one direction, he doesn't know that he's at the edge of the sound spike.
They're heading straight for him right now.
Yeah, like if he was able to right now, just blow 3 traversals and a leap and get as much distance as he can and get that evolve, he'd be in a good place. But he still has that. They realize now that he's not in the caves and they're out searching for him.
Attack!
And they will eventually find him because this map is pretty small, so teams will have a pretty good idea of where you could be.
Yeah.
And they're already moving towards the beach because they figured that, hey, the sneak came out, it's time to move, and let's go down there and see what's going on.
Yep.
But Deanimate getting the sneaky evolve off. He's about 100 meters out from the assault over here, but they should figure out where he is.
Did they get a sound sensor ping or something?
No, they didn't get the sound sensor ping at all. So no evolve damage was actually pretty surprising for this time. And I don't know
and
if
he does get
the dome miss.
Yep, he's out.
Wow,
that was a really strong play. So at this point, the hunters are probably a little worried because this is definitely like a stage 1 comp where it's like you basically completely rely on the early game.
Yeah.
So
it's a relying on hitting either a stage 1 dome or just getting that evolve dome. Like that's the biggest thing, because if you're able to dig into his health early on, then he won't be able to commit later on once the stage 3 happens.
Yeah.
And now that if he plays his cards right, he's going to have a free stage 3 because it's more than possible against a Griffin to get, to just keep the run game going and keep running away from him and not get domed.
Yeah.
Because we're not at Hunt 2.0 yet.
Oh.
Oh man. We see him just staying on the run. They're on his tail pretty hard, but I don't think the animate's too worried now. Even if he does get domed, he's got a half armor at this point.
Yep.
And he'll be able to mitigate, and
he seems to be just running in circles, and they keep following him pretty direct.
Yeah.
So I think he's kind of in the green at this point. Doesn't have too much energy for this level, but he'll probably be able to get a good breakaway at some point here because they are really bunched up right now, and they're following almost directly. So.
I mean, usually you'll see a trapper sit in this point of the map right here, where if you guys can see the mouse, generally you have your trapper sit in the middle and just have the rest of the people go in these deep corners. But they don't like to play that style. They do have him here now.
Yeah.
But as far as the stage 1 went, they didn't really go for cutoffs or anything like that.
Yeah.
It was just more running right behind the monster, and they kept doing it. So Deanimate going to get full armor now after this 3 meet times 2. So he's looking pretty good, and he's almost got that full evolve meter, and
yeah, he only needs a few more energy.
Yeah, he's definitely in a good spot right now as far as things go.
So yeah, at this point he's probably looking to just bait them into the corner and either fight or make a break for it, and that looks like they are just staying at that midpoint, because usually on Distillery, if you get extended out into this position, it's really hard for you to actually not get domed.
Yeah.
They're in a very reactive point, and as you can see, the Trapper's already moving into position to get that dome. And right now, he's probably looking to make that Trapper use up their jetpack so he can get that distance and break away from the dome distance.
Would you see the Trapper a little out of position? He might be able to get the dome.
Oh, he didn't throw the dome,
No
though.
dome.
Oh, he would have had it.
Well, to be honest, that area isn't the best spot for a dome, and they probably feel like they should wait till stage 3. I don't know what's going through their heads. They might be feeling a little cautious, overly cautious, because they still do have a Lazarus, right? And it's a Laz Cabot, so it's a very all-in kind of style.
Yeah.
And if you make any mistakes with this comp, you're pretty much done, right? It's not like a Hank comp where you do have the orbital and the cloak. On Cabot you just have the cloak, and Lazarus you don't have a shield for him.
Yeah.
So not having either one of those defensive tools, it's definitely risk.
I'm curious if he's going to try and initiate a fight, or he's just going to go for the straight-up stage 3 fight, because if he does fight in the caves and manages to pick off the assault does not have any sustain to keep him up. So if he comes and extends into this cave, he's going to pay for it. If he do we know what build Deanimate actually took? If he took Flame, he could definitely whittle away that assault if he comes in and tries to.
I believe it was 3 rock, 2 leap, 1 flame.
Okay.
I believe he likes the legendary. Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have the new observer client where you can actually see the abilities that people have at all points of the game. So if you're talking in the middle of the stage up, you won't miss it anymore like we did.
Sweet. All right, so they are looking to actually go in after him, and that gives him the opportunity to kind of just run away now. He can go the opposite direction. The Trapper's overextended, and he's probably able to get a lot of distance here because all the jetpack use on that Trapper, and he's got to go through water right now. He's going through the Tyrant water. Big slowdown. He should be able to get the distance here.
Yeah, no, he should be able to get a safe evolve, and even if he does get domed on the evolve, he's going to have full health.
Or, knowing Deanimate, he might actually just go for the sneak here.
Yeah. I've been really impressed with the sneaks, and he's using them well, and just proving that if you use your sneaks properly and at the right times, you can end up getting away and getting that safe evolve. Well, this evolve spot I wouldn't say is too
You think it's because they're
crazy.
taking Griffin that he's trying to lead them off into an obvious location when he's not in the obvious location, so you might actually psych him out?
Yeah, I mean, the cool thing about this is he's probably going to dodge a stage 3 dome.
Oh, yeah. He's actually definitely... Oh!
No, Puggins is coming in.
Okay, there's the dome.
He got out.
Oh, he got out. So he dodged both vital domes.
Oh, man.
So at this point, with the Lazarus Cabot comp, you're probably... Your palms are sweaty.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be pretty worried. They're going to get a little chip damage here, but nothing to make up for missing a stage 3 dome.
Yeah.
That's 2 domes missed.
Yeah, that's
the evolve.
super vital.
If I didn't see these names, I think Bronco was playing.
That's true. Well, even any comp, missing those 2 specific domes is like super detrimental to your game. So at this point, they're gonna have to play exceptionally well. Looks like they're actually playing somewhat aggressive, even though it's a stage 3.
All damage
I don't know.
amplified,
Well, he doesn't
people.
have any shields
Let's hope
yet.
it doesn't
Yeah, I
figure
mean, I
out
think
what
they were
this
just
thing
trying to get
does.
some more chip damage. You know, at this
Yeah.
point, they need everything they can get.
Yep.
You know, the fact that they missed 2 stage 2 dome or 2 stage up domes
Yeah.
is huge as far as the long term of the game. And it's going to be rough going into this the stage 3 fight. You know, I would say that Goliath does have a hard time at this relay, especially around the ship. You know, they might do some crazy things like throw a Lazarus outside the dome.
Yeah.
You know, anything like that is
So
possible.
They are electing to fight in this area, which has a lot of objects for Goliath to have a tough time around. And I saw somebody point out in chat that he's a very good sneaker and he's really dodgy and has really good evasion, but maybe his combat skill isn't up to par.
Well, we're about to see that test. He does come in, does end up landing a leap smash on the Cabot. We'll be focusing him. He actually does lose him in the sneak. Rock does hit him, but I don't know if he knows. He ends up missing it. Another leap goes in onto the trapper, and Goliath deciding to fly in the air. But we do see he's found Lazarus. He's got to decide quick who he's going to focus.
The Cabot is surviving.
Man, that was a big leap. That was a big leap.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of damage that Lazarus has to worry about. Laz goes down! Oh man, this is just disaster. And we do see the hide is now at half health. You know, the trapper, I think the trapper's trying to get a Cabot, but he's not going to be able to.
Oh no.
Oh wow, he does! But I think it's a little too much too late.
Team, I can't
You
keep
know?
this thing on forever.
Well, he already finished off Lazarus, so at this point, he's just gonna whittle him away. They don't have much hope at this point.
Yeah.
The assault is basically like, come at me.
I don't know if he knows that Lazarus is dead or he's just finishing off the body. Like, he's like, I don't want to worry about anyone. You know, just playing it as safe as can be.
Yeah.
But it looks like he should be able to finish off the assault. Tries to go for the sneak pounce, but he does finish him off with a flame breath.
Yeah, it seemed like what cost them there was definitely the group up, because the only thing the only hope they had at that point was to play out that dome super effectively and basically get no strikes.
Yeah.
And they had a really big stack there that kind of just cost them the fight. And Cabot also, he was like, like no health, and he ended up living.
Well,
and that was an
look at
opportunity.
the drop that he had. Like that was such a quick drop in that early part of the fight. Like everyone, you can see that leap smash that came in and just dropped a lot of the health.
Everyone besides the assault. So
yeah, like that was a big mistake to, you know, especially against when you have Lazarus on your team, you can't be hit by an AoE like that.
yeah,
Because it's just game ending.
yeah, he doesn't have the sustain to keep everybody up.
No.
Everybody has to be evading as effectively as possible, and if you can do that, a Lazarus comp is actually super strong.
So we're going to be loading into the next game. I'm not sure of the score, so we will get that updated whenever we can. But we also got to fix some sound settings for you guys, so I'm going to switch on over. But it was a awesome game from Deanimate, definitely showing that the
sneak game is real, even on small
yeah.
maps, right? And he took advantage of the fact that Griffin is on their team in several occasions, and he did a really his sneak game wasn't the only thing that kind of brought him to that point of the game where he was stage 3 versus, you know, no health, all that stuff. But he also was really good at luring that trapper to overextend and then take advantage of that and get farther away. So
no, it was super cool, and you know, good on Deanimate, man. It's always good seeing a player that we've seen for quite some time, and someone that didn't start in the beginning. You know, wasn't what you'd call an old guard. I guess didn't start from back in the DGL days and such. But it was cool seeing the sneak play come out.
Totally.
And you know, are the hunters going to be prepared for that? You know, maybe the Griffin choice wasn't the best one for them. You know, even though they had all these all these sound spikes up, they still weren't able to find them.
And like the main reason why you take Griffin in this comp too is that it kind of guarantees you some domes that you need, and they just weren't able to nail those down, and it cost them. So,
you know, and that's the thing. Like, are you going to decide to go for this stage 1 aggressive style? And they ended up not even doming that. And I feel like they had opportunities to. Even if it was a bad dome, you know, you can still take a risk, right? And I feel going into Orbital Drill is the next map. Deanimate's probably pretty happy knowing that he was able to pull the win out on Distillery. And then have an opportunity to go into probably one of the most monster-sided maps. Or
Yeah.
I wouldn't say monster-sided, it's probably the most even map.
Yeah, I think it gives the monster a lot more opportunity than
Mm-hmm.
we would see in Distillery, because this separates the hunter. Hunters are going to have to do a 2-2 split at some point or another in this, and it's going to really separate them and give that monster opportunity to kind of execute a plan of picking off somebody. The assault's super overextended, this guy's super overextended. There's a chance for a kill there. Whereas in Distillery, it's like 2-2 split,
Yeah.
but 5 seconds later, or 10 seconds, 15 seconds, whatever, and they're already back together.
Yeah.
Whereas this, you have very large chunks of geometry that kind of separate the hunter crew, and that gives you a lot of opportunity as a monster to kind of work with. So
Yeah. I mean, just in my experience, like, Wraith is super good on this map. Like, I would say this is a good Wraith map, because you can go for those pickoffs. And that's the biggest thing with this map, because of the geometry that it presents, is you got to split up a lot.
yeah,
And it's really hard to clear pounces and go from there. So we're going to switch on over to the picks now.
looks like they're running with the same comp. So maybe they just realized that that game was just kind of like a little mixture of bad luck, some bad execution. Maybe that was our first game, it was a little rough, but we know what our strengths are, and they're going to try and stick it out and get this executed properly this time around over the drill. Because I'm sure they're willing to admit that for that composition, they definitely were not capitalizing on a lot of things that they should have, and ended up being a stage 3 full health versus a Lazarus comp. And when you're a hunter team and you're in that scenario, you're like, oh crap, we messed up.
Yeah.
So,
Definitely a scary place to be when you see a full health Goliath going in stage 3. And you don't have Hank, and you don't have Kyra.
Yep.
And you're relying on Lazarus to get those clutch revives. And
Yep.
that's something you really never want to rely on if you're going for
totally.
let them get to stage 3.
Yep, and you can tell too that they weren't really used to that sneak play, because most of the time when we were looking at the map, it seemed like they were really grouped up and they were following directly, and that leaves a lot of opportunity for the monster to kind of double back and sneak away.
Let me get the sound going for you guys now.
Be sure to let us know if it's too loud still, because we are kind of just winging it and where the volume settings are.
Yeah. This isn't on my computer, so I don't have all the stream
Sneaking
settings.
from the start. Did he do this last time?
No, he actually didn't. But his path that he used last game, he had the water along the path. So that's why they were a little confused in the beginning, and missed where he was.
So this is where I'm kind of worried if you're sneaking from the start. He is eating really close to the dropship location, and if he were to trigger birds, that sneak from the start would have been not worth it at all. But I don't think he did. But they are heading the direction, because this is a common path. So regardless of all that, he's still gonna. Oh, and they see.
Yeah, they got the tracks.
So there's tracks right off the bat. See, that's where I feel like if you're gonna sneak from the start, I would kind of go
a different path,
an unconventional path.
Yeah. Well, he does already have stage 3 or stage 2.
That he does.
So despite sneaking at the start, he's pretty much able to, if he wants to evolve here, he can. It looks like he will.
Oof, how close are they?
They're 143. They're pretty far out. The Trapper is going to be coming in right now.
It's definitely going to be a dumb on the evolve, and
It should be.
If he knows if he sniffs him out, he can jump to option.
Oh, is he gonna miss it?
He's gonna miss it. He does.
Oh no, he's in.
He does have a loop though. I'm pretty confident he has a loop here.
Yeah.
He's playing it aggressively. He's not mitigating. He's gotta get that Trapper before the damage starts going down.
Yeah. We can already see that damage from the amp and Hyde just coming through. Already down to 3/4 of his health. At this point, I would say he's on emergency. Let's try and mitigate.
And he does have a loop, so yeah, this should be able to help him out a ton. He'll probably leave this with about half health if the assault player does a good job and they split and do 4 corners. If they have people that kind of cover the loop and cover the outside, let's see if they do that.
Yeah, they are boxing pretty well. Does miss that leaf smash there. At this point, I would not commit. This is a scary place to commit, and they put him in an uncomfortable position, because even though he does have that loop, he's gonna leave with less than half health.
Yep.
He's already about half, and the dome is probably about half on cooldown. Should be out about 20 seconds from now.
Yep.
Oh well, nope, I'm wrong. That's
20 seconds from now.
Yeah, caster's curse right there.
Yep.
Losing track of time, but still half health outside of the dome.
Yep. He's not necessarily in the worst. I mean, I've seen much worse positions for monsters when this comps ran. So I feel like if he still plays it strong, I think he should probably stick to his guns like he did in Distillery, where just because he feels like he might have the distance to get that evolve off, he doesn't. He goes for the sneak because there's always that chance of going for the sneak, right? So I think at this point he just needs to play it way more safe because he does have a big map he's working with, and it is a Griffin, so the sneak game is more than viable at this point. And what we just saw, he kind of just went for your conventional no sneak, just got the distance and evolved. And as we saw, it really cost him there.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely in a rough spot here, too. He's actually taking chip damage into his health. And he's being pressured really well from the Hunters. It's almost as if they just flipped a switch and it's a completely different Hunter team.
Yeah, totally.
And, you know, they're keeping on him. They've got, you know, good sensor placement on the map. They've got a good idea of where he's going. And he's just now started to eat.
Yep.
You know, and the time's going to be playing against him.
And this Armadon's kind of making...
Yeah, the Armadon's, you know, he's going a little crazy.
Yep.
But we do see the sneak starting.
Now, on this map specifically, this is an area that I always like using because if you see at the bottom where he's kind of sitting, there's big chunks of geometry that you kind of have... It forces the Hunter or the Trapper to overextend in one direction because he has to get that dome. So if you can really play around these big chunks of geometry, you can really take advantage of the split and get away and get some distance.
Is he going to end up seeing deanimate? Looks like he's going to ping him out. Yep.
Yeah. He did not shoot him. That was one thing to keep in mind for the players that are not as experienced. Just because you see a monster, if you let him know, the monster know that you actually see him, it's kind of a thing that, you know, you're losing your advantage. If you can get the surprise attack on the monster because he doesn't realize he's actually seen, that's way more valuable than doing that 2-3 shots.
Yeah, also putting him in combat when you don't need to.
Yeah.
You know, he would have gotten the combat regen just for a couple seconds there, and that's definitely not worth it. You see the harpoon coming out does end up missing.
Yeah.
But, you know, do you think they're going to just wait till he evolves and do a stage up dome, or are they going to try and dome him again?
I feel like if they get the proper opportunity in the right location, they'll probably go through the dome. The important thing here is if we see that deanimate, it's actually pretty low in energy, and I feel like if I was on the Hunter's side, I wouldn't even know. I would assume that he's almost full by now.
Yeah.
But he's actually in a much more rough spot than we expected at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're just doing a good job of keeping that constant pressure and using the Cabot and the Lazarus to pick at him a little bit here and there whenever he goes for that food. And when you get pressured like that, especially when you have that Cabot rail going in the back of your head, you know, just the sound effect is enough to mess with the player.
So he might, if he gets out of this dome, okay, so this will be the tell right here. He's already gone now. If Puggums goes for the dome at this point, that'll kind of answer our question if they're going for the dome on Evolve.
Looks like he did go for the dome. Deanimate is sneaking, so he won't have a chance to get out of the dome. But
He does have a loop, a little loop. Any loop is a good loop.
Yeah, any loop is useful as a monster. We do see he's ended up going on Puggums right here. Gonna try and get him down. Leap Smash does connect. And see if the rock does connect on him. It does, but not the splash damage. And
he goes down. That was really well executed. Hit all of his abilities and solidified the kill. Now,
looks like he's going to commit.
Yeah, he is deciding to commit here.
You know, I would say this is worth it until he runs out of armor. You know, he does have the Trapper down, so the dome won't even be up when he comes back. And if he can get a strike on this Lazarus, the sneak! Oh no, no one's clearing him! So he's got... Oh, he's so close on the Lazzy.
Oh, they did resurrect through Cabot, so if he notices that strike, he can actually get away and have progress made.
Yeah, we saw Cabot did get the res on Griffin, so he actually does have a strike. And at this point, it's like, hey, I gained something from this dome. I better just get away. You know, that's... I would say that's not a bad trade. You know, hopefully he can get away without too much chip damage. He is getting some line of sight breaks, and yeah, it looks like he's...
So overall, it looked like he only lost about a very minor chunk of his health there, and he did get away with a strike. So he's looking to be in a much better spot at this point. And having a strike on the Trapper is actually extremely valuable in any Cabot comp, because Cabot comp's all about burst. And if you can get out of that dome when you want to, that is extremely valuable. So stage 3 coming up, if he gets, you know, even another strike on anybody else, he still has the option to get that Griffin down just that little bit faster.
Yeah, I'm a little confused as to why they felt they needed to res the Trapper like that. You know, maybe they thought Lazarus was going to go down and they didn't want to risk, you know, not having 3 people left to punish him. So I can see the decision there, but even then, you still have Cabot and Hyde up. Yeah. So you still have a lot of burst damage, a lot of sustained damage as well. just through the flamethrower amp, and then if you get the toxic on top of that, that's where the burst ends up coming through.
Oh man, these Armadons are just
Armadons going a little crazy on this map.
But yeah, I think that's one thing that a lot of people in pubs that you don't see, or just in general with Lazarus comps, sometimes you just have to weigh in the gamble of my one of our guys is down. He's in capped. He's able to be rezzed by one of us. But we see that our Lazarus player might not make it out of this one, and there's no way he's going to actually resurrect. So at that point, you have to make the decision: resurrect the guy and get a strike, and keep that person up instead of letting them die. And possibly, Griffin is really good at mitigating damage on a focused player. So I feel like at that point, they're like, the value of that strike was worth resurrecting instead of having the chance of Lazarus going down and straight out losing the game. So
we do see the Evolve coming out here. They are about 100 meters out, just kind of waiting on that outside, and they are going to get this stage up dome, and they are going to probably set it up so it has no loop. Deanimate getting just cut off, and we do see him finishing out his 3-point build of Rock, Leap, and Fire.
No loops in this dome, and he's going to be aggressive. He's not even wasting time in the dome whatsoever. So interesting.
We do see him going in. Does end up hitting that Leaf Smash on the Trapper. Yeah, the Rock does miss, but he's still, the Flame, able to finish him off, and wisely running away from this point.
But it is a Lazarus comp, and they only gained, the Hunter team only gained from this, so.
Yeah. Deanimate did end up losing in the end there, but all in all, I feel like he'll be able to go into this relay, depending on where they fight it,
Yeah.
I hope they are honorable men, and they don't fight at the Pillar of Autumn, as we like to call it in the office.
Yes.
So I hope they do not fight there. But regardless, I do think this is a pretty rough relay, even if not using that pillar.
Yeah, this is Goliath always has the most trouble in relays because most of his abilities are kind of like a straight line. Rock has to be thrown straight most of the time in front of you. So if any corners are in the way of your charge, your leaps, or your rocks, Goliath has a really tough time.
Yeah.
And most relays have circles, and they have squares, they have corners, they have all kinds of stuff that big old clunky Goliath runs into. So
big old clunky Goliath.
If you can manage to, like, what I like to do is, stick to melees and punch people away from the corners, and then use your abilities. So I'm kind of curious on how Deanimate kind of handles the situation. So,
I think he's still pretty confident from last game. I think he's got a little bit of momentum going into this, despite his health right here. They don't have a Hank, they don't have Sonny. It's just all pure offense.
Now, do you think he's gonna focus Lazarus from the start? Do you think he's gonna focus the Trapper? Who do you think he's gonna focus going into this?
I think he's gonna end up going on Lazarus first. He's gonna try and bait out that shield and then try and get it down on someone. That's usually my plan. But we do see him going in here. Misses the leap, which is actually one big cooldown for him.
Got a really rough start.
But the Rock does go, is shielded by the assault, so really Deanimate's lost all his armor and gained nothing from it. Does have another leap coming out, does land on the Trapper. And we do see him taking some more damage, some more punches, and the Flame should be able to finish him out. Oh man. The overhead! But we do see him committing and missing the Rock as well. Assault doesn't have a shield, so he could end up downing him.
Oh. If he realizes that, he could totally get two people down right here and not necessarily have to focus Lazarus from the start. And it looks like they're going to go for the Resurrect again.
Yeah, it's interesting that they're okay with giving the strikes away to the Trapper, but at this point they've gained a lot. They've taken away a lot of his health, and really, Deanimate isn't making any progress. Like, yeah, the 2 strikes on the Trapper is good for him now because he can keep getting out, but with that Cavett being able to just burn through his whole armor bar in one charge, I don't think he'll be able to make any progress. Like, he'll get the Trapper down and then, I gotta leave. But then he still has a risk of Lazarus, so he'll be right back. So he can't really commit on the body.
Well, one thing that the Hunter's got to be careful with, though, they do have a double strike Trapper. So Goliath has quite a bit of shields going into this, even though they can shred those shields quickly. If Deanimate ever feels like he's in a bad spot at any time, he can be like, I'm getting out of here. And if he hits, a flame and one leap, and that he's gone. Like, he can get out. So at this point, this is really pretty much on Puggums. And Gypsy danger to cloak him. So, to be honest, I don't think I've really seen the support player really cloak the Trapper too often in this, which is kind of surprising. Because it's definitely something I'd like to see in this composition is a lot of pressure relief. And there's lots of kiting while the Assault player is doing a lot of damage, and there's amping going on. And it's just a lot of damage mitigation going on and whittling away Deanimate quickly.
Yeah, I mean, either way, this is going to be a rough spot for Deanimate. He's got to, he's either going to focus on the Trapper, but at that point, depending on how well Cabot and Hyde are doing, he should be through the health. But we do see Deanimate going in, throwing some auto attacks out, and going on the Trapper as we saw before. Ends up getting a leap on Cabot, jumping around, trying to get that Cabot in the air. Does land the auto attack. Sneak Pounce coming in as well. And we do see the Flame burning away on Cabot, but he's got 4 armor bars left. He's got to start making a decision here of what he's going to do. He did end up losing that Cabot. But the Trapper's at full health. Does decide to go for him. Flame ticks away at him. Leap coming in. Does land. But now this is that point we were talking about where he needs to make a decision. And it looks like he's staying and fighting. But Lazarus coming in with the revive. We do see the shield out from the Assault. Shield almost depleted. Deanimate might as well just go all in here. I don't feel like he can make another getaway with that Lazarus. Probably going on the Invis soon. He's going to be trading a lot of health here. We do see that minigun coming out in the weak points from Lazarus. And oh my god, what a harpoon to stop the leap on the Lazzy, pretty much securing the game.
Yep. And at this point, Deanimate's going to have to really pull off some stuff. Well, if he gets a strike here and he gets out...
Cliff, you see that health bar?
I want to believe.
You want to believe,
okay.
But I think some Goliath is on the dinner menu tonight.
Yeah.
It's roasted from Hyde.
So what do you think, if you were Deanimate there, what would you have done differently to kind of handle that situation?
I think really it just added up over time. Like, he ended up losing a lot on the stage up, and that ended up hurting him at the end of the game.
Yeah.
And that's just the unfortunate thing, right? He wasn't able to get enough distance, get away, and get those sneaks like he did before.
Yeah.
And you'd think that on Orbital Drill it would be a much better map to get the sneaks off compared to Distillery. But he just wasn't able to get away and get those sneaks that found him success in the first game.
Yeah.
But, all in all, being able to take a win across 2 maps against a Hunter team in this meta, definitely a great thing to do.
Yeah.
I don't know the score on the other side, but we'll get that to you guys as soon as we can. But Deanimate being able to pull a win on the monster is definitely a big thing. But,
definitely huge props to him for pulling that stuff off in the first game, because as we've seen, that Cabot Laz comp
is rough.
Is something that always catches monsters off guard when you go in on somebody and all of a sudden you look at your health bar and it's gone. So I think he still played it really well. I mean, there was mistakes from both sides, but overall I think both games were really good and strong games.
Yeah.
So are we swapping up to the other side?
Let me find out. I'm gonna switch on over so you guys can see us and we can hang out.
Yeah.
But we're gonna find out what's going on with the games. But yeah, like, props to Deanimate, but still props to the Hunter team for being able to turn it around.
Yep.
Total turnaround from their first game. Their first game they missed 2 stage up domes and they weren't able to finish out at all. Like, they let them get to stage 3 full health. And someone sat down in there and said, what, this is how it's going to be, guys.
Yep.
And let's do it right. And
Right,
that's the big thing, is that they were able to fix their mistakes from the first game and then
they were
have a
definitely
pretty strong showing.
able to land those domes that we saw them missing early on in the other game, and they still managed. It still went to a stage 3 fight, which I don't know. I haven't watched too many Laz Cabot counts, but I've always heard that it doesn't last till stage 3 most of the time, and I feel like getting to the stage 3 fight, the Hunters handled it really well.
Yeah, like if you can do enough damage early on with that comp, you'll be able to get through enough health that the stage 3 isn't so much a risk anymore with the Lazarus. And even then, you can do some really cheesy stuff with the Lazzy. You can throw him outside the dome and do some really funny things. Like, you can get him to commit on you. And then if the Trapper positions correctly, I've seen teams where they do a cutoff right before you get to the character.
We saw that a lot. And if anybody was watching our stream, what was it, a couple days ago? That was like we saw every single... I don't remember which teams it was. But every single time the dome would go down... It
was hype.
The support was outside of the dome. They would bait the monster on to the support, and then the dome would come down. And by the time that happened, they already took out, I don't know, a quarter of his shield. So they they delayed long enough to just get that free damage,
Mhm.
and it's actually a pretty effective strategy.
That was a big thing for him, and it was so cool seeing that in the old meta. But I think with the new dome, you'll actually see that a lot more.
Oh yeah, totally.
Because you can call down a dome instantly, pretty much.
Mhm.
I mean, it's 1 second, but it might as well be instant. But being able to do that,
Is she making fun of my bed not being made?
I'm in the middle of the point. And I just see Tara.
I made it last time, Tara.
But Cliff woke up this morning too late. It's
Yeah.
okay. It's okay.
We're all humans here.
We're all human beings. We're allowed to not have our beds made. We're trying to figure out what the scores of the game deanimate. I see players leaving. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, they're. Well,
Yeah.
did we lose one?
Yeah, deanimate's out.
So I'm assuming they're swapping to the other lobby.
And no one likes to communicate what the score is to us.
It's okay.
So that's cool.
It is 1-1.
But it's
for
1-1
us.
so far.
For us.
Unprofessional. It's all right.
Man.
But we do. It's Slim Revival Party, which is Deanimate's team,
Yep.
has won, at least. I know that for a fact.
Mm-hmm.
And then DD has won as well.
Yep.
So we're just kind of waiting to get back from one of the players.
Gypsy Danger says it's 2-2 in chat. So
2-2. Tiebreaker. Ooh boy. Ooh boy. Ooh boy. Well, make sure we get in that game. Sorry about the typing, guys.
It's probably pretty loud.
Yeah, it's. We're learning how to do this, right?
Yeah.
I
So plug your ears if it's too loud.
Yeah, plug
Sorry,
your
guys.
ears. I'm sorry, but we've kind of talked about those games that we saw and going in the tiebreaker. If for either team, I don't know how the Hunter side went. It did apparently go 1-1 since we were in the tiebreaker. Or
Yeah.
Obviously, it went 1-1.
Yeah.
So, if you're Deanimate, do you say, "Hey guys, give me the monster," or are you just gonna take Hunter no matter what if you have the tiebreaker choice in this situation?
Well, I guess it depends on the map too,
Mhm.
right? Well, we don't know what map it is.
Yeah, no one's told us the map.
We're assuming that it's. Well, if it's a Monster Hunter's favorite map, I really can't say. I really don't know. Deanimate, I feel like, has pulled off some really. Like, if he looks back on that Orbital Joe game,
Mhm.
and he looks back on the Distillery game, in the first game, we can definitely say that those sneaks were really what kind of paid off at the end of the day. And in the Orbital Joe game, he wasn't really. The sneak didn't really pay off too much.
Mhm.
So I guess it really just depends on how confident his team is in Deanimate to pull off those sneaks again and effectively kind of get a free stage 3. So if that's the case and they feel really confident in Deanimate to pull that off for the tiebreaker, I would say Monster for them.
Mhm.
But if it's a clear Hunter favored map, then I would definitely just say
Yeah.
let's go with the Hunters. So I guess that's really what it comes down to. But yeah.
Looks like Deanimate's saying that they are going to take Hunters. Or at least that's what he's saying. They're still talking it over, but man, everyone's giving us the Fellfish, man.
Yeah. It's alright.
We're just horrible people. But I guess we could.
Oh, Waffle Man's here.
What's going on?
I don't know what's going on.
I'm confused.
Sorry, guys. We have no idea what we're doing.
Well, I mean, we do kind of have an idea, but we have no idea what they're doing.
That's
So
true.
that doesn't help us.
You're right. You're right. That's more the order of things.
But I guess since we have a little bit of a downtime here, if you guys have a couple questions in chat about Hunt 2.0 as far as like balance stuff, you guys have any questions, we got a little bit of a pause and we figured we can talk about it. So
Yeah.
the balance notes are up if you guys haven't seen them, so that's a cool thing. I should probably post those, or I could have Tara. I could tell Tara to do it. Maybe Tara will post the patch
Maybe.
notes.
She's a mod now.
Yeah, she is a mod in the chat, so she can
She
post.
has responsibilities in our channel.
Yeah,
That's the perk
There you
of
go.
having mod status.
Let's see what's going on here. Not getting anything back, but yeah.
So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and shoot them in the chat now. We can try and answer them when we have some downtime.
Mm-hmm. Why increase aftershock radius? Because we're crazy. No, basically to explain that change, because it is one that we were a little worried about at first, but once we ended up testing it, it played out pretty well.
Yeah.
As far as our games go, like the jetpack is changed now, so you're able to dodge more consistently. Like, a big complaint a lot of players had was they would end up getting the short leap or a short burst.
Yep.
And when that happened, you pretty much were stuck in an ability. And now your jetpack, because it was totally recoded,
Yep.
will always do the same distance for a dodge, no matter what. You will no longer have the big leap. You will no longer have the short, like, God damn it, why did that happen?
Yep. The
So-
stutter step.
So we felt, when you stage up an ability, you want to feel the impact of that ability, especially
Yep.
now that's going to be a stage 3. Having this huge radius, but the damage isn't what it used to be.
Yep.
And, the cooldown is lower, so you technically can hit more of them over a period. Looks like,
Yeah.
just to pause in real quick, we do have Deanimate will be playing Monster,
Yep.
and they're going to sort out bans, so just to let you guys know about that.
But yeah, I think kind of like the emphasis on the utility boost in this patch is basically what it's all about,
Yeah.
right? Because there is damage increases, but the utility has to be worth it for people to go into 3 points at the same time, right? So like it like with Rock, for example, too, it's like super fast.
Oh, yeah, no,
It's incredibly fast. Like that utility is worth putting 3 points into. If an Aftershock's just like your standard AoE radius, then it's not really something over and beyond, right?
Yeah.
You will be hitting those Aftershocks probably more consistently than you do in live. Maybe, who knows? But with the consistent jetpack changes, maybe it'll completely be different. And that radius is actually kind of like not really that different from live because the jetpacks are better. But basically, at the end of the day, the damage is lower, but the radius is bigger. So the payoff is kind of like there's a balance there, right? And you'll be consistently hitting your Aftershock more, maybe. But again, the jetpack thing might change that. Who knows? So overall, we wanted to make the utility to kind of be not necessarily ridiculous or crazy, but something that's exceptionally high to be worth putting 3 points into it, right?
Because that was a question that we were asking ourselves when we first started doing these balance changes and bringing, like, crunching everything closer together as far as the damage goes and even the radiuses.
Yeah.
Getting into that 3 point, what's going to make it worth it for me? I'm going to get a little bit more damage, which in the long run is super helpful.
Yeah.
We actually had a point where you didn't gain damage from the abilities. It was just radius and then whatever other attribute we gave to it.
Yep.
And at that point, we didn't feel it was enough. So we decided to give a little damage boost and then the 2 areas of utility. For Aftershock, that's radius and cooldown. And that's the real cool thing about it is you do, and it's cool seeing this big Aftershock because it's 15 meters now, compared to the 14 that it was. But having the more consistent jetpacks, I feel people will be able to get out of it. But if I'm putting 3 points into this ability, it's going to be a scary ability.
Yeah, totally.
And that's the big thing that we want to make sure we kept going into these changes in the Hunt 2.0 update. So that's to explain that question a little bit.
And I also think it kind of like, since this game I firmly believe will be transitioning into more of the styles that we typically see, and there's not as much pigeonhole stuff going on. And like for me, for instance, I've always been a charge Goliath, right? But I've never really used charge for the distance. I would use it to do the shotgun damage and that minor tumble that you get. So I don't ever put in more than 1 point into it. It's kind of like my 1 point wonder. But there's those people out there that are like, I don't necessarily just want this for shotgunning. I want this for distance, for running further. I want this for other various reasons, right? And maybe I'm not very good at shotgunning it, so I need to put 1 more point into it. So there's a lot of different, things that we're juggling there to kind of give people different opportunities to do different styles. And like, oh, I don't need the super fast rock because I'm really good at the 2 rock. Or it's just like, I don't need the larger cooldown reduction. And maybe you want it, and who knows? Maybe the situation going on in the current game asks for you to put a skill into something differently than you did the previous match. So there's a lot, with the utility changes, there's a lot more room for adapting, I should say. Instead of just, damage increase. That's how I adapt, is a damage increase. Now
adapting.
So
you can evolve, if you will.
Alright guys, it looks like we're going to be joining in on their game.
See where it's at, but I can answer a couple of these questions really quick for you guys. How many domes are we getting in a game? We're usually getting a stage 1 dome, and then right after the evolve, or depending on where it is from there, we get another dome. So we're usually getting 2 domes in the early part of the game. We even get, depending on the map, when we play against you. Well, when we play against me, it's mini domes.
I think one important thing to consider too, our games are generally probably going to be longer because of the food changes as well. The food fix, per se.
Yeah, there's a bug that was fixed with the maps, fixing some of the feeding paths as well. So you won't get those paths like on the refueling tower where you could get an evolve in one path.
So yeah, like that's the interesting thing is that the distribution of like the food density is probably gonna be a little bit different around in this patch. So though you may go your typical path and get a strong evolve energy meter every single time, now it's gonna vary a little bit. The predictability of you going into a certain spot and getting that fast evolve is gonna be much different than it used to be. So that is one thing that's going to kind of extend games and maybe even give more dome opportunities for the hunters. There's going to be a lot of different things varying there that kind of just overall increase the dome count.
Yeah. No, it's definitely way more fun to getting in the situations where we can throw the dome and have fun.
Yeah.
You know, fighting. It's a lot more fun to fight over the course of a game, and then getting this epic finale where we're bruised up, we got strikes, and you know you're about I'd say a third health. You know, a third of your health, and it's super fun, the games that we've been having in the office, to the point where like we haven't, like, admittedly we haven't played live in weeks.
Yeah.
Because as soon as we started,
can't go back.
Yeah, as soon as we started these balance changes, we just can't go back.
Yeah.
And you know, that's kind of the answer to that question, and I'm gonna try and answer a couple before this game, since we still have a little bit of time. But we can say it is on MedLab. I don't know if they ended up choosing. They haven't told us what the bans have been.
He did shoot the bans to us, but I missed it. I think it was Laz and Griffin was the bans. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, Griff Laz. So, me being Deanime on this map, I feel like I'm a little worried.
Yeah.
It's a pretty small map. The relay's pretty strong for the hunters. And he is going Goliath again. They are going Crow. So Crow, that is, I mean, you would think Abe, they would take Abe for this kind of stuff. But Crow is actually one of those picks that I think we see picked kind of in unique opportunities in this map, since there's pockets that you can kind of completely cover with Crow. Once the map comes up, I can kind of show you guys what I mean by pockets. But in a map like this, you can throw Crow into one section of the map and almost cover the entire thing. So if the monster's there, you're gonna know, and that is Crow's advantage. It's a very, very good thing to have that Gobi cover some ground for you, and the sneak game is going to really be hurt for Deanime on this. And it's a small map, so the fact that he's not going to be able to sneak very well and not going to be able to get very good distance for the safe evolve, I'm really curious on how Deanime is going to kind of adapt to this.
Yeah, and they still, you know, the interesting thing is this team showed great strength with the Griffin and Cabot picks and Laz as well. Yeah, and being able to get those banned out, or the important players from that comp, and still have like one of the best comps in the game to run between Kyron, Hank, and Hyde. Yeah, totally. You know, insert Trapper here. You know, being able to have that is a huge thing. Yeah.
So, kind of let's talk about the pockets. If you see in this map, you kind of got the center location. I don't know if you can see my cursor. So you kind of have a pocket here, and a pocket over here, and here. So if you throw a Gobi in, like right through the center of this, you're gonna cover a lot of ground. Yeah. And you're gonna cover a lot of ground in any of these pockets when you throw a Gobi. Yeah. So that's kind of what I meant to illustrate that fact. So I think he's gonna go for the fast evolve. He's gonna try and get as much energy as quickly as possible before these hunters drop, and hopefully he lucks out with some food spawns. But it seems like the mammoth bird.
The mammoth bird. Oh my gosh.
Oh, see, he's really close right now. He's gonna be careful because. Oh, and then he spawns the trap jaws.
Oh,
man, he is not getting lucky right now.
This is some bad luck from Deanime.
But something to know is he almost does have the stage up.
Yeah, so. He's pretty close so far. So he'll be able to get the stage up on this side. But I think his plan was to get that quick evolve and then run to the bottom side of the map and get it off.
Did they? Oh, see, you can see what Crow's doing right now. He's shooting Gobi down the big line of sight streaks, so that at any point he could figure out that where the monster is from really far away, and that is a very, very, very strong perk for Crow. So I'm kind of curious though how their combat's gonna suffer from this, because I know Crow can kind of have a hard time hitting the monster when the stuff gets really fast paced.
Yeah.
So
He does, you know, if he's standing still and able to scope in, he actually is a little bit more accurate.
Yep.
And that's, you know, that's one of the benefits of Crow is he's this long range kind of trapper, able to chip you off, also able to take away health damage, which I'm curious if they're going to use. I see some players never using it. I see some people fully utilizing it, right? So we'll see how they end up playing Crow, if they end up going for the chip damage. You know, I figure, hey, free damage is free damage. I'm going to go for whatever I can get.
Oh,
Cloak.
So here comes the Cloak Dome. This is definitely going to land. They're basically hugging each other at this point.
Oh, man. Going for the stage 1 dome with the Kyra Hank.
So at this point, though, Deanimate has to realize that he's got full energy, and the dome did go down in a relatively decent spot for him to get some distance. So after this, I'd like to see if he gets a free evolve off.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing here is I think they're going for an evolve punish, because this is the middle of the map. You know, the only area I think he can get a safe evolve at after this will be in the hangar area.
Yeah,
you know,
which is in the southwest corner.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that's his only option. You know, he is taking a little bit of damage here, but, you know, unfortunately this isn't Hunt 2.0. He can't fight back yet.
Yeah.
He just gotta run.
So if I was him, I'd be kind of like calculating in my head, where am I going to exit, where am I going to evolve exactly, and kind of think of things preemptively here, and hopefully he does execute a really strong exit after this. Because if he doesn't, he's going to lose an opportunity here.
You know what I'm loving is I see this Crow. He's actually sat on the charge shot this whole time on this perch, and just done, you know, good bit of damage to deanimate.
And the dome does go down, and he's kind of got a weird exit strategy here, because he's basically not doing a very efficient getaway, and is giving a lot of the cooldown on the arena is going down at this very moment, and if he doesn't make use of that time as much as possible, he's losing this opportunity that I was talking about before, and we were talking about before.
Yeah.
And he's losing his shields. The assault is literally on his back. I don't know, about 15-20 seconds of the dome has gone by, and by the time he gets this evolve off, the dome's going to go down. So.
Yeah, you know, one really cool thing that I want to point out is after the dome was done, they actually sent their assault for the cutoff.
Yeah.
And they didn't send their trapper, they didn't send anyone else. They sent them all, you know, trailing the monster, doing that chip damage with Crow. But they used their assault as the man to go, you know what, I know where he's more than likely going to evolve.
Yeah.
I'm going to go there right now so I can punish him.
Yep.
And that was a really smart decision by them. And also applied pressure where Deanimate feels the need to, you know, get this sneak off. And if he ends up getting it, oh man, goes right back into Gobi.
So the dome is going to be probably coming off cooldown super quick here. I'm surprised that Crow's not deciding just to do stasis, but he's saying this damage is worth it way more at the end of the day. So
going through all this wildlife here, chipping away at Deanimate.
And this is kind of like the dilemma that we commonly see on MedLab. It is a small map, and there's a lot of opportunities for the monster or the hunters to take advantage of overextended monster. If the monster ever extends really far to the edges of the map in one of these pockets, he's going to be in trouble, because the hunters can just sit at a midpoint, and the monster eventually has to come back at them.
You know, it looks like they do have the dome off cooldown now. So I'm curious to see if they're going to try for another stage 1. I feel like they will. It seems to be a strategy that they have. It looks like he's trying to get a dome thrown there, and no, he decides not to throw it. Deanimate wisely, dodging the other way. So
he looked like he was trying to bait the dome a little bit there, but if I was Puggins, I would be like, I don't really care at this point to get another dome until he evolves. So
yeah, I mean that's the big thing here is they've already gained so much of this stage 1. You know. Generally, people don't even get damage in on stage 1 before a stage up, and being able to have this, you know, close to a bar of health gone, and being able to go into a no armor monster at stage 2 is going to be a big benefit for them.
And the time limit is only in the hunter's favor. So the more time that is being wasted here, not only does Crow get to do more permanent health damage, but the time limit is working against the monster. So he is going for the evolve. Oof, yeah, he was in line of sight, and they do have a Hank, so he has to be really careful here if he does decide to actually go. And if they get him low enough, I feel like they will go for the dome here. And hopefully they actually get the dome in a spot where there's not very many loops and you can't damage mitigate very well.
Looks like Puggins is coming in. Dome, I think, was thrown. No, it wasn't.
No. So he is definitely just trying to get close to get those easy permanent health damage shots. Because even though the crosshair is saying the bullet's gonna go here, Crow has some some spread that people don't usually, don't properly understand. So
Yeah.
you kind of have to sit still, or you have to be really close to actually hit those shots most of the time. And that we've seen time and time again, Puggum's getting right up on the monster's back and getting a couple of those permanent health shots in.
And I think it's a wise decision for them not to dome just yet. They can get a dome on the Evolve, probably get some chip damage, and oof, oh man, this is going to be rough.
Yeah.
We do see Hyde getting the toxic grenade, getting that minigun on the head, getting that headshot damage, just shredding through that HP.
Oh.
Taking some notes from Parnell there, Hyde was, but we do see him going 3 leap, 3 fire on this build. But man, he's already close to half health. He's got to make some decisions here.
Yep, and it is a Kyra Hank combo, so he's gonna have a really tough time breaking through this.
We do see him landing some auto attacks onto that Hank, but he does miss him. Looks like he's lost track of him. The leap does end up hitting. Hopefully he gets that fire, but he ends up going off the Hank after getting him down to half health. And it looks like this fight is looking really bad for Deanimate. That Hyde is definitely shredding through that health.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too with Hank Kyra's. It's really, once you commit onto someone, if you don't end up getting that strike, and you have someone like Hyde and Crow there chipping away, you're going to end up losing a ton of HP.
And the thing is too, if Crow and Hyde, they take really distinct advantage of the fact that a Hank and Kyra, you have to whittle down over time. It's very difficult to burst that comp down.
We do see the toxic grenade getting thrown. They're just trying to chip him away. They don't want to commit down there yet. But Deanimate wisely backing off, trying to mitigate and save as much health as he can, but it might be too little too late. You end up losing a ton.
Yeah. So 0 game for the monster at this point. Starting off with 0 energy because he got dumped on the Evolve. And if I was the Hunters right now, I'd feel extremely confident. And they're probably going to continue to play the game of running the monster around, doing permanent health damage, and putting constant pressure on Deanimate. If Deanimate is in a situation where if I was him, I honestly, I'm in a situation where I don't even know what I want to do at this point. So,
we actually had a
we
Crow
have a disconnect.
DC. Regardless, I think Deanimate is in a really rough spot. I hope they get a message out, let them know, or if they're just gonna keep playing on. Crowbot probably isn't the worst spot to have.
Yeah, doing the permanent health charges. Oh man, that's rough. So it looks like they are just going to continue playing it out. I think they're probably just agreeing that, I don't know, they feel comfortable just playing this because Crow, they just got the dome. They're still chasing the monster. Oh, it does look like Crow is pretty far behind though, unfortunately. And
no,
then
they do
the
switch.
reconnect.
No, they're just switching over.
Okay.
So I hope they get a message out, but regardless, the game does play on as per the ESL rules. We do see some chip damage coming out. Deanimate getting that feed on does now have full armor. Going into the stage 2 having full armor shouldn't be too bad, but he does also have to worry about that Crow. And Puggins does reconnect. He's going to have a little bit of a load time. And once he gets back in there, I assume they're going to get that dome going on him. So we do see some more chip damage. Just playing the run game. Deanimate taking his time, getting as much food as he can. That Mammoth Bird's, man, he is a Mammoth Bird magnet.
Yeah, Mammoth Birds, Armadons, Trap
just
shots.
Everything.
Yeah, so basically everybody's putting pressure on him. Even the size of the map is clearly putting pressure on him.
A lot of pressure in the way of wildlife.
So I think it's super tough to really make a decision at this point because Crow's Gobi is, again, as I talked about earlier, in these pockets, it is very, very difficult to pull off a sneak or anything that can kind of surprise the Hunters or just throw them off in general. Right now, it's very predictable in what the monster's going to do, and it makes it much. As a Hunter player, you feel way more confident when you can predict exactly what the monster's going to do. And at this point, I don't really see what Deanimate can do that's not predictable.
Looks like the dome does end up hitting. Man, looks like the tutorial video right there.
Right at the edge, bumping his head.
But we do see Deanimate going for some dodge, and I assume he's going to go for a full mitigate here and try and get to that stage 3. But we do have that Crow that's going to be able to chip away at the health, and we see him sitting up on a perch again. And Deanimate realizing that he has to do something about this Crow. Doesn't want to let him get that charge shot. And we do see the Flame Breath missing onto Crow. And Kyra doing her thing with those heals, keeping him alive, and Hank doing those shields as well. And we do see Hyde and Goliath trading blows with fire. And
so right now he's just doing the hit and run thing, trying to mitigate damage. Looking for opportunity maybe to catch somebody out, but for overall he's just trying to just mitigate as much as possible. And my plan as Deanime right now, I don't know. He doesn't have full energy bar. He's going to have to still get energy. He might have to take another dome before getting this evolve, or maybe they'll just wait to hold the dome and dome on the evolve.
Yeah, and you know what I really love is this Crow style. You know, this is such an interesting way to play him. We do see them finally getting at that armor bar. So close, actually. No, that Crow is just landing charge shot after charge shot. And looks like he does finally get away. Does lose quite a bit of health. And the interesting thing there is Crow was able to do quite a bit of health damage.
Yeah,
You know,
sure.
I'd be curious to see his numbers on, or if we had a specific number for how much health damage he was able to get.
Yeah.
I feel like he's gotten a lot of value out of that charge
And
shot.
he hit that long range stasis, which is just going to slow him down, make it even more stressful for him.
Yeah. You know, the big thing with Goliath is that 10-second stasis from Crow is super strong.
Super brutal.
Yeah. But, you know, if I was to animate here, the time is ticking. Because, you know, he's got to feed up here, get to that stage 3. And even if he gets the stage up, you know, it's showing that in the domes he doesn't feel like he can do much. You know, he hasn't been able to get any strikes. He hasn't been able to really pressure anyone.
Yep.
You know, just the lack of threats he has in his build is proven to be pretty hard to break through this Hank Kyra.
Yep.
So
I think at this point, if I was him, I would attempt to try and bait Puggums to get out of position, maybe kind of like play some mind games here. Because at any point he can get the trapper to extend just a little bit too far in one direction or one end of the map, he can just start booking it for the other opposite end. But it almost looks like he's actually going for the dome. I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen here. But he is kind of extending, and this is kind of what I was talking about. If you can take advantage of one of these extensions, then he can get as much distance as possible. And even if he does get dumped on the evolve, if he can get the assault player to extend too far, he is going to mitigate that damage just for a few more seconds.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of added value. So
we do see him jumping back and forth. Does end up running into the Hunter team, trying to get through.
yeah. Oh, and
But
the dome does go down, so that.
Wait.
Oh, he did. So this is a huge opportunity for him. If he gets away and gets the evolve off, hopefully he goes underneath something so he doesn't get Hank orbitaled. But he can, and it was on one end of the map as well, so he can get some really good distance at this point. This is a huge opportunity for Deanimate. He can hopefully get this to be a stage 3 fight on the relay, and I think that is his best chance because even though Crow is taking permanent health damage out, I think their overall damage output because of the Crow pickup is not as strong as it could be with Abe or maybe even Griffin.
Yeah, like in combat, meaning like if the Trapper ends up being focused, that Abe will end up doing way more in the long run. We actually do see another Evolve punish. He is going for the Flamethrower this time, doesn't have the time for the minigun. Does finish out his 3-point build with 3 rock, 3 leap, and 3 fire.
Yep.
You know, the El Clasico right now in this meta.
So he's really got to dodge this dome. If he doesn't dodge this could be game. This is where he's going to have to keep playing with the jetpack of the Crow and eventually get away. It doesn't even look like he has the dome out right now. So
No, I think it's just coming off cooldown right now.
Yeah.
And even then, this relay, you know, you've got a Goliath down to about, I would say that's 4 or 5 bars of health.
So I'm really curious. If I was Crow and I was on the relay, am I going to do power shots and try to kill him this way? Or am I going to help my team break through the shields and put more pressure on him in that form?
You know, I think at this point, because there's no more run game, I think he's going to focus on those just normal shots.
Yeah.
You know, that's... Crow actually does the most damage out of all the Trappers if he's able to land all of his shots.
Yeah.
He actually has a lot of damage potential, but the thing with his damage is you have to be pretty much standing still. And it looks like they're going to be pressuring Deanimate, saying, no, we're not going to let you get full armor.
Yep.
We're going to keep that pressure going. And that's what I really like about this Crow comp. You know, I'm curious as to why more people haven't been running this. You know, I have seen Crow used a couple times in competitive, but even this is a tiebreaker, busting out this new style that Deanimate seems to not have that much practice against. And it's hard to have an idea of, you know, what am I going to do against this new pressure?
I think one of the things that he's really not used to is he definitely seems to be a huge sneaker, lots of evasion, and Gobi is something that probably he's not, like we said, he's not used to going against Crow in general. But Gobi really ruins that entire gameplay, or that style, I should say, when you're trying to pull it off. And I don't think it's very easy to execute whatsoever on a small map like this against Crow. And I think your combat skills is what really kind of wins you the match in this setup. So at this point, this is kind of where he's he might have to just go all in because he's going to get whittled away by those power shots
Yeah.
in one way or another, and he's not going to have very many opportunities in the future. So if I was the Hunter team right now, I mean, what would you do?
What would I do? I'd be pretty damn happy with how the early game went. But going into this fight, you know, I would just say, you know, keep doing what we're doing. You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Yeah.
And just set up in a good way. You know, I do like this area that they're set up in. They have a nice 4-corner split to where if he has to commit on someone, he's going to take a lot of damage. Hank will be able to shield, and there's a lot to gain from it. The only thing that they will have an issue with is if he does decide to start chipping at the relay, they will have to move someone out of position.
Yep.
But I do think they should be fine. We do see him sneaking up to the relay, trying to find him. He's a little confused.
Oh, and the time ticker just starts.
We do see him going in on the fight. High toxic grenade being thrown. You know, waiting for that cooldown to actually be down. And orbital was dropped as well.
Ooh. Yeah, that's a huge cooldown that's going to be. This is definitely Deanime's opportunity to go all in on the Hank, I think. So I'm kind of curious. Do we know if the Hank took capacity? Or?
I don't know yet. We do see him going onto the Kyra. The shield's coming out from Hank, mitigating that damage. We do see him now transitioning onto the Hank, switching focus. Does try for the pounce, does end up missing. Leap smash lands on the Kyra.
Oh!
On the rock! Oh, the rock missed!
That does look like a capacity, Hank.
Yeah, this is looking like capacity here.
So hopefully he realizes that quickly, and he does go on the Hank again. He's trying to spread out the damage, make it hard for the Kyra, put the pressure on. He's going to go back. Oh, they're stacking super hard right now.
Oh my!
Multiple
Oh,
rocks.
the rock!
So right now he is spreading a lot, but he does need to choose a target here. He needs to focus. He needs to get somebody down because he is almost out of shields. He's gonna. Oh, he did get the healer down. This is huge for him. If he gets people down quickly here, because he's gonna get whittled away very quickly. He did get the leap smash. He's focusing on getting the finalized kill on Kyra. At this point, the Hank shield's capacity on the in-cap player is gonna be too much. He needs to hurry up. He gets the medic down. So at this point, Deanime has more than enough chance to pull this game off. This is a super close game now. This turns over really quickly, and this is where I feel like definitely you can tell where the Crow is definitely hurt in combat. He's not able to do as much damage as these trappers, but he has that harass, he has that pressure. But once the fight starts, he definitely doesn't seem as strong as other trappers.
Yeah, I mean, one thing here is just the rocks end up hitting onto the Kyra over and over again, and there's only so much you can shield, right? Even with what looks to be Cap Hank, you know, if we had Hunt 2.0, damn it, we'd be able to tell you what perks he has in the Observer Mode client, which is something I'm super excited for. But just that fight there, you know, the Kyra wasn't able to dodge any of the abilities, even though he transitioned over to the Hank. And it looks like
he's got to be careful, though. I think he just got a headshot charge shot.
Oh.
At this point, if I was him, I would focus on... Oh, but no, the Hank capacity is going to prevent that focus. He's going to take a lot of face shots. So right now, this is actually still anybody's game. He's got 53 seconds before the Hunters drop. He's going to go in on the Trapper because he knows he needs to avoid those charge shots. But it is a capacity Hank. If he forces him to line of sight, though, if he kills him before... Oh, the line of sight!
The line of sight
no, this might cost him half shields.
Oh, man.
If he can land a leap here or a rock.
Oh, the tyrant! No!
So at this point, all the orbital goes down. There is no Crow permanent health damage. He has 3/4 shields. Hank is probably going to try and go in for... Oh, no. The tyrant does finish him off.
Man! This is disaster!
The assault shield goes down. If I was Hank, I'm going to try to run 17 seconds. He's going to keep the assault up so he can kill him as the dropship is coming. He will keep that Hank or the assault player down. He's going back on the assault. Hank is revealed. If he notices and sniffs him out, they are separating a lot. Crow is going to be coming back up. All he needs to do is hit those power shots, and this game is won. So he needs to realize that very quickly. The damage overall is going to be really low, but he has opportunity. Well, the Hunter team has opportunity with the Crow to really finish this game off. So he's got to be super careful, even though he's in a relatively good position.
Wow.
Oh man, they spread really well though. He's wasting a lot of time. Everybody's up again. So at this point, he's not looking too hot.
Yeah.
He's not taking advantage of the people dropping. He's not taking advantage of the split. Looks like all 4 of them are grouping up again. It appears that Deanime hasn't been in this scenario very often.
No.
His decision here I don't necessarily agree with. He could have definitely kept committing because he had 3/4 shields, and that is still a lot to work with.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing was he needed to get that Crow down first because of his health. And now that the Crow's back up, he's in danger. You know, that's one thing that's interesting about Crow. The lower and lower your health gets, the more and more your armor doesn't matter.
Yep.
And you have to worry about getting that Crow down. And now that they've been able to reset the fight, we see them all getting healed up. Hank will be healed up soon enough. But, you know, at this point, the animate's really got to make a decision. And also, the timer's ticking, Guidance. I don't know if you see this, but he's got about 20 seconds.
So it looks like they're trying to delay as much as possible, or they're just setting up in a new location that they're familiar with. Because at this point,
He's got to
the
hit the,
animate
he's gotta hit
has
the
to go
relay.
in. He has to go in.
Oh, man. Here we go. The
Alright,
fight's
the charge
starting.
shots are going off. We can't hear them. We don't have headphones on, but I can more than assume that those shots are charge shots. So I would say that
Rock missing there. Big miss.
the orbital does go down.
We do see him poising for a new strike.
A lot of pressure on Crow right now to hit his shots. If Crow starts missing his shots, this game could be anybody's game. If Crow continues, he needs to keep the pressure on. The enemy needs to get a kill here. If he doesn't do it quickly, Crow is going to soon...
Oh, the rock on Kyra before
Wait.
the shield! Oh, so big!
If he switches targets to Crow, he can mitigate that damage and possibly pull it off. But he's kind of just...
The Crow!
Oh, the Crow win incoming. Here it comes.
It's
One more
what-
charge shot. Maybe 2 more.
Oh, he does focus onto the Crow. The shield does come out, though.
He's constantly tumbling him. Doesn't give him... Oh, and there's the
man.
charge shot. And that is game. That was a really cool game, actually.
Crow coming out for the win there.
Yeah.
A real interesting play from Team DD. I was real excited to see them pull that out. That was an interesting comp. I actually really like the Crow.
Good game.
And I'm, you know, like, that was a really cool game. Just getting to watch, you know, props to Deanimate. Really, despite how the early game went, he showed that as soon as I get to the stage 3, I'm going to have this power and you're going to be... You guys are going to be in a world of hurt. And he was so close. You know, he was so close, and you can see just all the health so low and not being able to close that game out. And I feel as soon as he got that Kyra kill, that was the big point where he could have gone through and got that game. But man, what a game. You know, props to both teams, giving us some good evolve.
Yeah, for sure.
On the last Go4Evolve on this patch, still giving us some great games to cast.
Yeah.
So
we could have asked more for that because that was really cool. Even the first 2 games were really cool, right? Like a lot of those really clever sneaks and really clever movement by Deanimate. He was pulling off some really good stuff. And the second game, the Hunters came back. They regrouped and they took the second game pretty effectively. And then this third game, they whipped out the Crow. Had a completely different comp, and they managed to pull it off really effectively. They took full advantage of Crow, for sure, like 100% advantage of Crow. And Deanimate was definitely his mind was like, what do I do? What do I do? I could definitely tell a lot of scenarios. A lot of people don't have experience against Crow, and the Hunter team took advantage of that. So
yeah, I mean, it was definitely a good game to both teams. It was an awesome game of Evolve, and that was one of the things I really love about seeing some of the newer players come into the scene and newer teams. You know, Dildos was not that new. But they're not an old guard, as I'll say.
No, yeah, totally.
But being able to see people bust out the Crow and use them in that way that, you know, usually in a tiebreaker when you do eat the bans, you're taking away a lot of your power in your Hunter team.
Yeah.
And busting out this team comp that was like a planned strategy. Like that was planned. There's no way they're like,
totally.
Let's just have Crow sit on a perch and chip away. Like that was something they had talked about, they had practiced, and they said, you know, when a tiebreaker comes, we're busting this out.
Yeah.
And that was a really cool thing that I love seeing from teams is just this awesome, interesting Crow play that was... I mean, you're a big fan of Crow, too. So
I'm a huge fan of Crow, actually. Like, when I play pubs, it's almost exclusively Crow. And I love to take quick switch on him because it's super... It feels really good to be switching back between all your weapons, throwing Crows out during combat. And then he's kind of unique, too, because... He's one of the few characters that he's got a sniper rifle, and you treat him like that. You kind of just find some high altitude somewhere, and you sit still, like literally sit still, so you're as accurate as possible, and you just start pummeling into the monster. And it's actually really cool because that kind of does force a different type of style.
Yeah, and that was a really cool thing to see, and it was interesting to see how Deanimate handled it.
Yeah,
you know. At that stage 3 fight, he realized that he had to start pressuring someone instantly, right? And getting that Kyra down allowed him to start attacking that Crow.
Yeah.
And getting that crow down was his next goal. Was able to get it, and then from there it was, do I commit onto the assault? Do I commit onto the support?
Yeah.
And I think in that situation again, Deanimate, I assume he's going to go back to his team and say, hey, we need to practice these scenarios with me a little bit more.
Yeah.
So we can get that split-second decision better.
Yeah.
Because he definitely showed going to that stage 3 that you can, despite where your health is, you can still make something happen. And that's something really cool about, monster players right now is despite all that's going against them, they can still find a way and give us some awesome games to watch. And really close game, I just want to say it again, but GG to both teams. Thanks so much for some awesome games. It was so cool.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't have a closer game than that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you have to give mad props to the Hunters
Definitely.
too, for like the assault and the support player. Sorry, I don't remember you guys' names, but the split there was almost like perfectly timed, right? Like the monster was going after the support, and by the time he switched that target, he looked behind him and he's like, "Where'd the other guy go?" And at that point, Deanimate's like, what do I do? I got 3 shields. The dropship's coming down. I don't know where anybody is. Do I get more shields? Do I chase? What do I do here? And the Hunters played it really well. They regrouped and they ended up solidifying a win. So.
And that's one of the really cool things about Evolve is when you get thrown in these scenarios as a monster or even a Hunter team, right? You have these split-second decisions that you need to make on the fly, or the other teams could come out ahead, right? Both teams had to make a decision right there. The monster player himself decided, I'm going to try and find the support who's cloaked and leave the assault to split away. And the assault and support player there decided, this is the time to split and we need to get away. So we can buy more time for the dropship so we can have our Kyra player come back into play. And that was something awesome to see, is that both, just instant decisions, right? They knew what they had to do, and that's where they're moving along.
And don't forget the MVP Tyrant that we did.
Oh yeah, the Tyrant!
The Tyrant! And that's the cool thing about Evolve too, really, is like you throw in some of those RNG elements that Deanimate was looking overall like a bad spot for most of the game, and the wildlife was being a real pest to him most of the time. And you know what? They the karma stacked up, and then it just switched over in his favor. And some things pay off, and the Tyrant helped solidify a kill on Crow, and that stuff is huge, right? Like, that couldn't have worked out better. The punch made him go exactly into the Tyrant's mouth. We didn't even remember the Tyrant was there. All of a sudden we see the in-cap skull pop up, and we're like, wait a minute, he didn't die yet, did he? And then you see the Tyrant thrashing him around. So I think that stuff's really cool to see, is this like unpredictable elements just thrown in. So,
but we will be having the Dildozers going up against Ninja Penguins. We are just waiting for the brackets to update so they can get that match chat going, guys. But again, awesome game for our first game that we've ever casted. So that was cool. I'm real happy we got that.
I got to see Crow, which is super awesome. And then we get you know what? The entire series was
it was a really good series.
Unique comps, I know we've seen Cabot, Lazarus before, but it's not your typical Kyra, Hank, Abe, Hyde. We didn't see that at all, and that's really cool. So I hope that teams in the future, especially Hunt 2.0, we start seeing way more flex going into the Hunter comps. So.
I think as far as Hunt 2.0 goes, you have a lot more choices where your trapper goes. Like Crow, a lot of people have been saying will be super strong with this new dome, because one of his problems is when you go to throw that dome, you pretty much have to be right next to him, which is what we saw in that game. Whenever they threw the domes early on, they were pretty much touching him. In the new dome, you can pretty much just boom. Like, you're there.
Yeah, it's definitely like one of those things too that we kind of talked about. Like, Griffin's one of his distinct advantages is solidifying those domes. But now I think we're going to see a lot more, like, we're taking Griffin for the combat and the post dome harass, right? Like, that's still a huge strength in him. But now we also see that those other trappers are brought up, right? Teams shouldn't feel pigeonholed if they don't feel like they have a strong Griffin player. They shouldn't feel pigeonholed into, like, this is one aspect we didn't really talk about, right? That certain trappers, not everybody in not talking about necessarily competitive play. There's a lot of trappers that they want to play trapper, but they're not very good at hitting domes. And I feel like this is one of those aspects that just overall makes it more enjoyable for a trapper player as well. And I don't feel like I have to pick Griffin to hit domes anymore. And that's like one of the little cool thing that we didn't really ever talk about, and competitive players haven't really discussed. We're always thinking about the balance of it, right? But we're also kind of making it overall more enjoyable as a trapper player. I really like this character. I really like Crow, but I can't hit domes. domes.
Yeah.
So I get yelled at every time I play Crow, and then I don't have fun because that's who I like, right? So,
yeah, I mean, and that change it still gives a lot of skill in the trapper. Like in our playtest internally with our pretty much the DTR versus you.
Yeah.
We still have to be mindful of where we're throwing the dome. Just because we have an instant dome doesn't mean that we have a dome up, let's throw it.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of skill that's behind the trapper, and if you have a bad dome, like you're gonna feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And just because you can throw it instantly doesn't mean it's always gonna be a good dome.
Yeah. And me as a monster player, like I think we kind of like got into this discussion a little bit last time we did the stream, but. It's more, the dodging is more about the long-term run, not so much about the short-term bursty stuff.
Yeah.
So you can still avoid getting domed. You're more than capable of avoiding getting domed.
Yeah.
It's just more so about the preemptive long-term thinking and not so much about I'm going to run past them and hopefully just juke back, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not so much about that anymore. And you still have that expectation of getting domed and fighting, but you still can, the pressure of getting constantly domed is surprisingly not as bad as you think it is. There's a lot of dodging going on in terms of like, I'm outrunning the trapper, I see he uses jetpack and I start going the other way.
Well, it's also because you're faster now too. Like
despite
the nerfs to out of combat on a couple of the monsters and in combat on some, that 80-meter distance on the combat timer is actually a really big deal. If we decide we want to chip away at you, then you're gonna be, you're gonna get this big burst, especially for someone like Wraith. She really benefits from having it. We also didn't want to adjust her because she was the slowest monster right now. Yeah. But we felt that she was one of the ones that after her burst, she doesn't have that much. I mean, she can get that 60 meters real quick, but she pretty much runs out of gas after that point. Yeah. So she's pretty much forced into like a stage 2 all-in right now. Oh, Jesus. Yeah. But yeah, like it's a lot of people, because we're getting a lot of feedback, we've been reading all of it, and a lot of people have been saying like you're taking away skill from the trapper, you're noobifying the game, like why are you going to do this? I would say now it's actually a more of a mind game than it was like, I just know how to throw the dome when I'm right on top of a monster. And for the everyday player, that's a good thing, but for the high level player, I'm really excited to see what people will start bringing out, because even in our games, like we'll have games where you dodge all the way to stage 2. Yeah. Just because you're making better choices than Brandon is, and that's the really cool thing to see in our games that we've been having. So. And
I think one thing too is that we're actually reinforcing some of the other like skillful trappers out there. There's a lot of levels of skill or layers that we haven't really seen brought up as much because of how hard it is to hit the dome currently. Yeah. And one of those layers I would say is throwing a dome in a very specific spot to have a very specific type of fight. And with that instant dome, you're like, he's here, throw the dome right in that location, instantly goes down, and you're able to pull off like those fighting arenas that you want, right? And before it was like, I really need to nail this dome, I need to focus on just hitting the dome, I throw it, oh shit, loop, 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 and then you're like, oh crap. And now as you could basically say that the trapper is a level designer now.
A level designer? I wouldn't go that far.
Because it's like, I know these battle arenas all over this map, right? Like, I'm sure I know for a fact all these trappers are more than aware of the places to fight on maps and the places not to fight. And now it's like, you can reinforce that skill set. If I see that the monster's here, I just throw it, he's right on the edge, I got the dome, guess what? This entire circle is where I want to fight. Yeah. Right? Before, I throw it in the place I want to fight, he's too far away, missed opportunity, can't do it anymore. Now it's like, I throw it, bam, got it, I got my arena I want to fight in, and at the end of the day, I hope we see a lot of that, right? We see these battle arenas, essentially, where people get to fight where they want to fight more often.
And that's the big thing, like, when we're playing in our test, like, Brandon will sit here and say, like, no, I'm not throwing the dome here. Like, I'm like, why didn't you throw it? We could have got him. He's like, no. I know. It's like, you're just an assault player. You do assault things. Yeah. But the trappers are more methodical now, I'd say. Like, there's a lot that goes in behind it. You're thinking about where am I fighting? Yeah. Not so much. And the monster's also thinking that same way. Like, am I going to move into this position, or am I going to take this path? Yeah. Which path is going to give me the most success and present me with domes that I don't want to, that I would want to fight in and I don't want to fight in. So that's something that I really like about this. And just to chime in, give you guys an update on the ESL stuff, we have a... get good. Jesus. We do have the brackets updated, so Ninja Penguins will be going up against Team DD. So we will be having that. I don't have Gobi Samurai versus Hunt 2.0 results yet, but I know A-Seeds has been casting. We will be casting the finals, guys. He will be casting whatever side ends up being, and I will be casting the other side.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're sharing the love today. I will get a link for his stream in chat. Make sure you guys check him out. Give him a follow. Always supporting everyone in the Turtle Rock community and Evolve. So definitely want to spread the love. But again, guys, thank you all so much for coming out and hanging out with us. And in between games, as we get these going along, if you guys have more questions about Hunt 2.0, you know, just make sure to send them our way, and we'll try to get to them as much as we can in between games. No music. No music. That's today.
Yeah, because we definitely do have like a decent amount of downtime. So if you guys have any questions in general, not even just about Hunt 2.0, go ahead and feel free to ask. Because I know there's probably a few new guys out there that kind of have general questions too about the game, and feel free to shoot those.
Yeah.
So,
you know, basically, how are the games so far, Liquidity? They have been awesome. We actually probably had one of the coolest first series we could have ever asked for a cast.
Yep.
So I was pretty happy with it. It was between Team Dildozers and Slim Revival Party. But we are going to have Ninja Penguins versus the Dildozers.
I feel like we established that we're going to call them D&D before this, but it's
no,
okay.
No.
We're just going to go ahead and call them.
I'm reading their team name. I mean, that's what
true.
it is, right?
That's true.
Like, that's their team name. I don't even
know who is this. He really likes you, apparently.
Oh, God. So, we got a question here. Question about Hunt 2.0. Why did you guys feel that Wraith needed to have higher basic attack damage than Goliath and Kraken now? I can actually answer this question.
Yep.
If Lord Death was here, he would answer it just as well. But it turns out that Wraith actually attacks slower than some of the other monsters.
And by a decent amount.
It was a pretty big margin.
Yeah.
And so what we found out that, you know, bringing her damage up so it's in line with everyone. And it was, some monsters had like attack damage that was for that monster, but then it wasn't so much intended.
Yeah.
You know, it was just one of those things that through design happened, and we ran with it. And, you know, when we were reevaluating every monster right now, we saw that Wraith really had a hard time committing and going for these strikes, because we wanted, one big thing was we wanted, you know, equal trade for equal health kind of thing between the, you know, you can get a strike for this amount of health and this amount of armor, and going at it between the two teams. So we ended up seeing with Wraith is the first time we balanced her and, you know, I got my hands on her, it was really hard for me to commit onto someone and get a kill, even with these new rebalance stuff. So we actually, her abilities were actually weaker in the first stage, and a lot of people were having the same complaint in the studio. It's not just like, oh, one person says it, so that's how it's going to be. It's, you know, we look at our internal telemetry, we have a bunch of people play on it, and that's what we see, and we're like, okay, we need to reevaluate where this character is. So seeing that her melee attack was actually slower than a lot of the other monsters and didn't do as much damage over time, so we realized that we need to bring that in line with everyone else. So it does the same amount of damage as Goliath and Kraken, and, well, Behemoth is a special case. You know, he's he's big.
He's big, yeah. But I guess the general idea too is like that Wraith is very bursty, and we wanted to bring up her sustained damage to be higher, and that's why she also has more shields, is so that she can have sustained longer fights, and that's kind of like the whole idea of this entire thing is longer sustained fights, better spectator support, more fun to play, lots of more action, just general better. And without Wraith having that boost in her auto attack, I think she kind of had that lack of sustain, where if you kind of just screwed up some bursts, then you're really hurting. And right now she feels like she was in a really good place because she was able to do sustained damage. You missed a burst, you still have something to sustain some gradual damage to kind of keep the pressure on. Before, it's like you miss one or two abilities and then crap.
you're in a rough spot, and that's one thing that feels really good about this balance change. Is it's not so much like I have this 3-point ability at stage 2 that I need to hit, or I'm not going to be able to land any abilities. And also, Wraith is one of the ones who was an original inspiration for... Yeah, I've got that question lined up too, so we're good.
Okay.
But, you know, Wraith was one of those that actually was an idea behind the Fast Dome. Like, the Fast Dome was tested when the first Wraith change happened, and it was just, at the time, it wasn't fleshed out enough to implement. That's one of the things that Chris told us, is that it was an idea that's been here for a while, and Brandon also had been pushing for it for a while and talking about making that faster. And it was something that was talked about, but it wasn't really implemented back before the, when it used to have a click and a noise like, oh, the dome's coming down, and then the Wraith would just zip out. So
Yep.
being able to have it at the right time, which is right now, presenting
totally.
this new dome, coming with all the other changes, Wraith will be stronger, but I would definitely say she's on the weak side. She definitely has a strong all-in now, but her
Yep.
all-in is a little weaker. Every monster's all-in is a little weaker,
Yep.
but their sustained damage is where it's at.
Yep.
You're able to commit longer, you're able to do more damage over time, and that's where you'll find your success as a monster in this next patch. So it's not so much, oh man, I just hit a big ability and I won.
Yeah, it's definitely rewarding the players for hitting multiple abilities, and who knows, maybe even the more debatably more skilled players would be even better now, right?
Yeah.
Because they're hitting all of their skills, and all of a sudden you're realizing, holy crap, this guy's really freaking good because he's hitting a charge, a leap, a rock, and then a flame, right? No,
Yeah.
but flame is whatever. But you know what? Because you're hitting all of your abilities, and hitting 4 abilities or 3 abilities consistently will pay off huge in this patch.
Yeah.
And it's not like Rico said. It's not so much about hitting that one big, I hit one lightning strike. Now I killed that guy.
Yeah.
It's not about that. It's about hitting several abilities and really paying off. And not only that, you have more opportunity because you have more abilities.
More threats.
Yeah, more threats. It's like I hit 2 abilities on this guy, hit 2 abilities on this guy, and then you keep swapping, and eventually you whittle them down and get them. So there's a lot of cool stuff going on with that. And obviously we kind of, for these longer fights, we kind of compensated with the larger shield or armor at stage 3 or higher stages. So I think, honestly, I'm super pumped to see where the competitive scene goes.
Yeah.
And just as a spectator, I think it'll be a lot cooler to
Oh
watch.
yeah, it's gonna be way more fun to watch. And in the office, I said it on stream when I was on the stream with Chris.
Yep.
But the office has been so pumped playing these games. Even the low level guys in the office, they enjoy the game a lot more. And the mid level guys, they love it.
Yep.
Especially us at the balance side of things. Implementing these changes first and then giving them to the rest of the studio has been super cool. But I just want to, going off this point, I want to talk some. Shade was asking a question: why don't we have all the monster damage values in the game? We're actually considering doing that in a future title update. It's one of those things that at first we didn't think, or from what I was told, people didn't think that the players would want to see these kind of things. We also didn't want to give the number crunch, oh, this is the best way to play and all this.
Yeah, that's one thing that Chris pointed out. He was kind of scared of the whole issue of people just theory crafting, and this is literally how you play, and then everybody plays the exact same way, right? You have all those people that do the number crunches, and this is mathematically the best skill build, right? You get that in all kinds of games, but we wanted to see if we could avoid that and kind of see if we can get those styles to be kind of more, form.
Yeah.
Different styles.
So. But I think it's something we have our eyes on, and we hear the community on that, and we're going to try and do something about it. I obviously know ETA, oh man, their names.
Oh my god.
Jesus.
So yeah, but I think we had a question about Bucket's turrets or rocket launcher as well. Kind of. So yeah, basically Bucket's
all you.
Yeah, Bucket's rocket launcher. It's 5 shots per clip, and it shoots much faster. So it feels a million times more fun. Not the dog on the little rocket launcher, but this one's kind of an upgrade. So we knew that we wanted a damage increase, but we didn't want to just have it to be just, oh, your rocket does more damage. We wanted to make it, we wanted to have the aspect of this feels cooler and it does more damage, and that's kind of the idea of it. So 5 rockets, faster rate of fire. It's pretty much all. Oh, also, the speed has been increased to the rockets and the turn speed.
Faster.
So with the increase of the rocket speed, we needed to increase the turn speed so you can react a little bit or faster as well. So hopefully the idea of increasing the rocket speed with this as well was so on the post dome, Cabot is really strong. He's able to hit consistent shots at the post dome. Hank is super strong post dome damage. So Bucket hopefully will be able to see that he can do a lot of post dome damage with the faster rockets and be able to consistently hit those rockets. Because before it's the Kraken would start running, and then you see your rockets all chasing, and then you would try and turn them and have them hit. So hopefully the speed increase will help with that, and also help in combat in general.
Yeah.
So.
And it definitely just feels better. I think that was a big thing with this patch. We want to make sure everyone felt better to play.
Yep.
And as talking about the Sunny changes as well, that was another one we wanted to. The big complaint we got from a lot of Sunny players was I can't it's really hard to do stuff against Kraken. We never see her played against Kraken, and giving her that faster grenade launcher. It pretty much feels like a rocket launcher at this point.
Yeah, pretty much.
But it feels super good, and we also lowered the damage on it as well because now it's
Yep.
more consistent, and now the old damage doesn't fit for the new balance.
Yep, and that was the same idea with buckets turrets too. So if you guys are wondering why we nerfed the bucket turrets down to 18 damage from 20, it's because they're generally more accurate. and
Yeah, they're
guaranteed.
more consistent.
They're going to consistently hit damage, and the feedback from your damage is much more satisfying. So if you're wondering why, like, oh, bucket turrets didn't do that much damage before, but the extreme end of bucket turrets was actually really crazy. So we kind of just wanted to bring it to a better place in general, and that's why the damage had to come down, just like Sunny's rocket launcher or grenade launcher.
So I've got two questions we can get to really quick. Or probably the second one I'm gonna wait for. Whitehawk, I see your bird question. Ask that after this game and we'll get to it. But Moiser, with the capacity on Kyra, it does still give you 6 nades because the math works out to where it's 1.6 and it does round up, so you will still have 6 grenades.
Yep.
Because a lot of people were giving us some flack for the capacity nerf, and we did feel like with Hank it was kind of needed.
Yeah.
And also with Cabot capacity was pretty sick.
Yep.
So we decided that needed to be toned down a bit, and also with Torvald getting buffed, he's another one of the big guys that loves capacity.
Yeah, totally.
So we felt that bringing it down just 10% was a fair trade-off, and we do see loading into this game we got Parnell Griffin,
and
Kyra and Hank.
What was the map? Did we see?
No,
Distillery?
I don't know yet. I think it was MedLab.
Was it MedLab?
We were too busy talking about something else.
So we're gonna see a lot of pressure this game. It's a Goliath pick. I'm actually super excited. We've seen a Goliath this entire day.
Yeah.
So that's super cool to see. I'm a huge Goliath fan, if anybody actually knows me. But we're gonna see.
Do people know you?
know me? But yeah, we're gonna see a lot of pressure this game for sure. The sneak game, as we already see, is something that he's gonna be kind of geared towards because at this point, Griffin can't really do much for finding the monster. All he has is sound sensors, and they're gonna have to go off of just visual cues and just sounds and all that stuff. So starting off, he's looking to not even feed. He's going straight to the caves, trying to avoid any possibility of bird spawns. It looked like he lured that Reaper pack actually into the cave area. So really smart move on him. Let's see if he consistently seems to pull this off. And
Does the bait work?
Does the bait work? So yeah, it looks like they're going to kind of go into the area where the conventional feeding path is. So this is why I think it would be... I'd love to see different paths taken in the future because the food densities are going to change in Hunt 2.0. So hopefully the paths will be more of a variety here. And going the same path isn't going to pay off every single time. And hopefully we get some diversity and some change like this. Because as we see, the hunters are clueless. They're spreading out.
Yeah.
And they really need to find him because he's past halfway for energy at this point. Parnell is going to start going into the caves super separated. Now in Hunt 2.0, one thing that we actually found out is if you sneak from the start and the hunters have no clue where they are, you are paranoid. You are scared.
You are actually really scared
so
now.
Doing what Parnell is doing right now, I would say would be a death sentence in Hunt 2.0. Even though Distillery is relatively small and it's in the current state of the game where, you can't really kill somebody incredibly fast in Stage 1, I feel like Parnell is still in a very scary position because if you look at the mini-map, he's actually still quite separated. They do have Hank, though, so if he does pop his shields and he does get caught out, he's still got plenty of time for his shields to be depleted and for Hank to get that last-second shield in. And he isn't really... he's not really extending too far into the caves. He's just trying to do the pick shots. He is chasing from behind. Again, Parnell is... There is no ounce of him that says, I'm scared of this monster.
Yeah.
So, at this point, I think in Hunt 2.0, we won't... I would hope to not see this type of scenario ever again. And I can almost promise you won't.
I can say from experience, being able to do this isn't...
Oh man, he is really just trying to be super efficient with that shield there.
Yeah.
So that's quite scary.
Well, the good thing is he knew how much damage he could take, and... he knew that he could survive that, right, with the amount of health that he had, because he's used to the Stage 1 values that we have on the monsters now.
Oh boy.
But oh boy, next week.
Boy.
Sorry. But, at this point now, they're on the chase with Griffin. They're going to stay, the Ninja Penguin way, and just stay on the monster, wait till that evolve goes off, and then as soon as he gets close to him, as soon as the evolve goes down, get the Parnell in the face, and... have a fun time with the Parnell shotgun.
The Parnell punish.
Yep.
So at this point it looks like what we typically see is starting to be set in stone, and he's going to be getting constantly pressured. The Griffin Harpoon's constantly going down. Parnell doing his little harass thing and using his super soldier to get speed and be on the back of the monster. So I'm kind of curious. So we have the two people. Oh, he is evolving.
They hear the evolve. You see the ping come out, and that Reaver
So
ruining his day.
is he still going to go through it? I'm not sure what he's going to try and do here, but
I think he's trying to bait it out.
So,
Trying to get them to overcommit, like you were talking about earlier. If you can make someone, like the assault or trapper, commit to one side, then you can end up breaking for it. But we do see the harpoon landing, some shots from the support, Hank coming through.
Yeah, and the trapper did full extend onto that beach side, so at this point he's going to be pretty low in jetpack to try and catch up and regain ground. Goliath is going straight, direct as possible to get as much efficient path as possible and get hopefully a relatively safe evolve. But the thing is that with a Parnell comp, you almost want the Parnell to overextend and not the trapper.
Yeah.
Like the dome is the last concern in this comp, and Parnell is the main concern.
Yeah.
I feel.
One super smart thing they did is the sensor placement. They know exactly where he's going to be evolving. So it's pretty much like an Abe dart at this point. So they're getting the benefit of Abe, and we do see the Parnell coming in. Classic Rune fashion, I believe he's going to get some nice headshot damage in.
Ooh.
Start shredding that monster HP. We do see him
About
getting
a quarter of his health taken away instantly.
We do see him going on him. Actually missing that rock on his shield. We do see Tharmak trying to get that flame breath going on some people. Does go on Raiko Sucks, the Kyra player, and he will hit that rock. No, he misses the rock, and the Rune trying to get in the way of it, but it looks like the Goliath having a hard time here, losing a lot of HP. He might even die in this dome. He's losing a ton of HP. And we do see him going on the assault there.
The assault does not have shields though, so he's got to be really careful here. Hank is going to have to probably pull off. Oh no, Kyra does her job of healing him up.
Oh, rock!
Assault goes down, but the
Tyrant over
Goliath
there
is super low already. Oh, that orbital is going to be super strong. He's relieving a lot of pressure of that orbital right now.
Oh my god!
Oh
Wait.
my god! No way!
Oh no, the assault's up. All right.
Props to Tharmak though.
All right.
There was
I was getting a little nervous there for Ninja Penguins. Like, man, he's gonna pull it out, but
there was some serious potential to do some serious damage and win that game. He did serious damage. Who am I kidding? But I feel like if he was gonna pull that match off, he missed some vital rocks there, and he managed to pull off a potential kill there, or a potential win. But overall, I feel like the Parnell did his thing.
Yeah.
Griffin did a really good job with that dome placement, and overall, I feel like Tharmak was just in a rough spot. But he tried his best. He tried to get that distance, and then Parnell with the speed proves that you can't.
Yeah, I mean, movement speed does affect the way your jetpack moves.
Yep.
So basically, with the old jetpacks, like a reason why a lot of people do like taking the movement speed is because it does give you further boost. So that's one of the things with Hunt 2.0, with the new jetpacks being recoded, that doesn't happen anymore.
Yep.
So you're always going to get the same amount of distance, and in this meta right now, you can't blame him for playing like that. When you know he has the evolve ready and you're able to punish him like that, why would you want to dome at stage 1, especially when you have the Parnell?
Yep.
But I think a lot of that, I don't think we'll see that so much. We'll still probably see Dome on the Evolve, but we probably won't see a Parnell sitting in your face doing a ton of damage.
Yeah, that was a very good point to point out, with the fact that the movement speed isn't really affecting jetpacks anymore, and it makes way more of a difference than you'd expect in terms of your long distance gain when it's affecting your jetpack like that. So with that change, we definitely with both the boost in the monster speed and the decrease in the hunter speed, we should see some much bigger gaps going on. And with that, hopefully we'll see that also with the lower damage values on stage 1 and the more aggressive play, that we'll see more domes thrown, because hey, I'm not getting dome on evolves as nearly as much, and it's not so much a guarantee as it is a risk. So hopefully in the future we'll see that the payoff of throwing domes more consistently will be what it's worth doing. And I think we'll notice very quickly right off the bat, if people aren't getting the dome on the evolves anymore, well crap, we need to start doing something different here. This isn't working. That is the hope. There's no guarantee, but it's definitely the hope. We saw in-house that more often than not, I would have about 3-4 seconds before I can just get out of the dome. Not in 3-4 seconds
is a big difference.
It's a big difference. I was able to get the evolve off and get away. So like 3-4 seconds is all I needed. And with these changes, it seems like that is the potential of me not getting domed on evolves anymore.
I mean,
so,
that's the biggest thing, you know.
And also, there is map dependency there too. So we can't promise it's gonna be fixed on every single map in all situations, but we will say that it's been alleviated a ton. Yeah. And just with the general damage increases, what if I'm a stage 1 monster and I'm like, I know this is a pretty small map, and I know you want to try and dome me on the evolve, but heck, what if I kill you before that even happens?
Yeah.
Right? So,
going on the flip side though, we've actually got a pretty big map coming forward for you guys.
I haven't seen this in forever. Doesn't this map usually get banned?
Not anymore.
Not anymore?
Not anymore. No, a lot of teams right now in the ESL, for people that are new, a lot of teams actually used to hate this map in the older metas. But now that we have, we have this meta where monsters are at a little bit of a disadvantage, people will let this map through so they give their monster player an opportunity to win. And a lot of people have specific strategies for this map. And Fusion Plant, always a classic, one of the first maps we showed the game on, and it's always been cool going back to Fusion Plant.
Yeah, totally.
And seeing games on it.
This was like the map that I only knew in Alpha for a while.
Oh, yeah.
This is like the Alpha map, right? So it's definitely nice going back to our roots once in a while. But do we consider this a monster favorite map?
I would say as far as the hunt game goes, but around the relay, I would say it's a pretty difficult relay to break through. Totally. And I have always had a hard time.
Oh, Kraken.
Oh, well.
I was about to ask, does he go Kraken?
Yeah, I would say this is a good Kraken map as well. Goliath,
Yep.
I wouldn't say this is a great Goliath map just because of how the relay can be fought. But going into the relay as Kraken, you can definitely utilize a lot of your abilities and try and pick them off.
And something key to note too is like the Tyrant Pit with the high elevation, and just in general, if they do decide to fight inside the relay, there's a lot of climbing that Goliath has to do to deal damage. Where Kraken just says, I don't need to chase you. I just fly in the air and I shoot you at all times. Yeah. So like Kraken can take advantage of a lot of the geometry in this map, and even over by Tim Allen, as we call it, or the bulldozer in, I believe, the southwestern corner. Yeah. There's a lot of geometry that the hunters can sit on top of, and Kraken just doesn't care. Yeah. So I feel like this is definitely a Kraken favored map for sure. So.
And here we are loading into Game 2 on Fusion Plant. We have Tharmac on the monster and the Ninja Penguins Hunter team. I'm not going through their names. I haven't been doing that today. And I don't think I will. Because damn them. We can kind of talk about the new Kraken Traversal because...
Oh, that's true.
It's totally new and redone. Yep. This is something we worked on in-house. Cliff and I actually had a lot to do with the new Traversal. And we're actually I'm really happy as a Kraken player where it's at, because before on live, as you guys will see now, is he'll be he'll burst a couple times in air and then land, and then that's where he starts regaining his health or regaining his stamina. But now on the new build in Hunt 2.0, he actually will always be gaining stamina. Yep. There's not a point where you're like, oh, I can't be gaining stamina right now. So if he's in the air, he can gain stamina and you actually get farther that way, because you actually do move faster in the air than you do on the ground. Yep. And in the long run of things, you will actually be faster than all monsters if it was like a 1,000-meter run.
And one thing to point out too is that drag, that pull down that you guys typically see, that can often be frustrating as a Kraken player when you're out of combat and you're just falling down and you're falling down. That is actually halved. Yeah. That pull down. So that is also a huge thing for your glides are much longer, and you're regenerating stamina in general for a much longer period.
Yeah, and the big thing too is like with Crack Bolt being gone and the stamina glitch, which thank goodness. Yeah. Because that was the one bug that, as a player, really frustrated me, and I know it frustrated a lot of people, but having both those gone does end up helping Kraken in the long run as well.
Oh yeah, totally.
Sometimes Kraken Bolt would be good, but generally it would be an in-combat thing that would happen, and you're like, God damn it, I gotta use a traversal just to fix this.
And then you get the traversal perk right after that. And
oh
it's
yeah.
just like, well, GG.
Yeah.
So hopefully, just even the bug fixes for his traversals should add up to something much higher. Because on average, I know I'm not a huge Kraken player, but I know you would say you'd get at least once or twice a game, or even consistently enough to where like, well, there it goes again, there it goes again. And, you know, it's just like it kind of adds up and stresses out a player in general. So even those bug fixes for a competitive player, or even a casual player playing Kraken, should be a huge, huge boost to him. So I think looking at this game, we can kind of see that Kraken is definitely having that issue of gaining some distance.
Yeah.
And on a map like Fusion Plant, I feel like with the new traversal system, where there's a lot of starting from high ground and going down to low ground, those longer glides and the consistent traversal recharge, I think a lot of competitive players will take advantage of that pathing, and that new pathing in general will just be longer distance at a high rate of speed.
Yeah.
And we won't see 400s right on the back of the hunt.
Yeah. And also, he does gain from having the longer combat distance. That's another thing as well. Because if you're able to stay in this, because you don't have a pull when you're in combat, like you don't drop to the ground. You do have a gravity that can be applied from a hunter.
Yeah.
If you get harpooned or stasis or whatever, but being that you won't have that pull or getting into that pull state quicker, it's going to be a good thing. But enough about that. We do have Rune coming in here with that Evolve Punish. We'll get some headshot damage with this Parnell. Ow.
Yeah.
That was pretty ridiculous right there.
Some good. Did a lot of damage really quickly there, though.
We do see the Kyra bringing him. Wow, almost brought him down to half health.
If he manages to mitigate enough damage here, though, it's going to be tough. He doesn't have very many loops to work with, and the dome placement by the Trapper, props to him. That was really, really efficient. The edge of the dome was pretty much exactly where he evolved. But Tharmak doing a lot of good damage here. He's got shields down on Assault. He's got the Kyra player down to a third of health. They're going to recover. The burst is done. And it looks like he's going to go back to damage mitigation mode.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point he wants to try and get away from the hunters. He's already taken so much damage, and Rune will have his shield back soon. And at this point, with Kyra and Hank so far away, there's really no way for him to get through these hunters.
Yeah.
He doesn't have enough threats, if you will.
Yeah.
And it's really hard for him. Ninja Penguins is playing this dome really well as far as their position goes, and they've just shredded through Tharmak's health on this map, and it's proving to be pretty damn difficult for him.
Yeah, so he lost about 3/4 of his health in the dome. He's getting harassed by the Griffin. He's still getting picked off by like the Hank and stuff. Well, the Hank's not shooting him, but we'll pretend he was. But
yeah.
But Parnell is doing his pressure of the rockets, and what do you know? Parnell is still right on his back, super fast.
Oh man.
Literally right next to him. So again, this is the stuff that we hopefully won't be seeing in the new Hunt 2.0. It won't be completely mitigated, but the monster should have a fighting chance, and he should be able to get the distance he needs.
And the big thing there, too, was this dome that they got on him, where he chose to evolve, was actually in the middle of the map.
Yeah.
If he would have ended up going to a corner, he might have had a better opportunity there to get away from the hunters after the dome, because they would have had much more distance to travel and much more obstacles to go over. But even though we saw him evolve right in this area over here where my mouse cursor is on the mini-map, it proved to not be worth it. And he hasn't even been able to eat yet. That's how much pressure Ninja Penguins has been able to apply to him on this post dome. And they're more than likely going to finish this on a second dome here.
Yeah, I feel like Tharmak at this point is he's calling it on this one. He's kind of just shooting, and oh wow,
Rune's taking a lot of damage, probably some Banshee Mine damage there.
For sure.
But Tharmak is definitely on the back foot here. He's got to make some decisions about where he's going to do, and he's just got to try and break line of sight of Ninja Penguins. But Ninja Penguins is not letting up on that pressure.
Still no energy. Man, that is super rough. Like, you got to feel for Tharmak right here, especially you as a Kraken player. Like, this is the experience that, like, this is kind of what puts us, it puts the gear, put us in gear. Because we hate seeing the gameplay like this. No one, like, as a spectator, it's not fun. I mean, maybe it is for some people because they're sick.
For Ninja Penguins.
But overall, like, the game should not be played like this. We hate to see it played like this. And of course, not the dog on Ninja Penguins, but if you're playing to win, you're gonna do it, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like if that's the strategy that we need to do to win in our game, that is not the path we want to take.
Yeah.
And That's kind of why we didn't see so many changes. Like I know a lot of people were questioning, like, why aren't we updating the game with like balance patches and stuff? And we were kind of just doing all this stuff behind the scenes for a while, and we just were hitting hard. And we had to do it all kind of like with each other. There's a lot of changes that they need to go together.
Yeah.
So if that's one of the concerns that you guys had, where it's like, why aren't you guys releasing balance stuff? That was kind of the reason why we're doing all this stuff behind the scenes, and it needs to go together. There is not one thing that can kind of really go by itself. So unfortunately, we had to make you competitive players kind of, or even casual players, suffer for a little while there, or even a long while. But Tuesday, guys.
Tuesday.
That's the day.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun seeing how everyone reacts to the new changes and how they change up their gameplay. But we do see Tharmak finally has some armor, but he's really struggling to find any food on this map.
Yeah.
And that's another thing with the new patch as well. The food spawns have been fixed to where you can actually get more food after the start of the game.
Yeah.
Because it actually does respawn properly. So that's one of the benefits of the new patch. I feel like we're acting like salesmen right now on stream, but
the new patch Tuesday.
Yeah, I know, but it's just been we've just been playing it for so long. We're so excited for it. We do see the dome coming down. And
is he outside the dome? Is he out?
No.
He is
outside.
My
God, he's outside the...
Oh, the orb. Oh, he's taking him into the wall.
Oh, they gotta call this down.
Oh, they have to.
There's a shield down.
Again, those RNG elements I was talking about, like, I feel like the tyrants today, man. That's the second tyrant helping out
Tyrant
the
OP,
monster.
man.
Dude, Sheer, they feel bad. Sheer just feels bad for the monsters, man.
Sheer's trying to help out our monsters today, but even with that help, we do see the harpoons coming in from Griffin, holding on to that Kraken. And Tharmak having a real hard time getting away.
I feel like he's been at stage 2 for like the last 5 minutes now. He's not even at half energy yet. Like, and this is a big map.
Yeah.
So
this is a big map for him. Hopefully he can make it over the Tim Allen area and start getting that feed off. But then the threat comes is he's got to dodge another dome.
Yeah.
I don't think the Planet Shear is going to keep handing him tyrants that eat your assault player. Yep. But he can hope that he fights through another tyrant and it helps him out.
Yeah.
But we do see here they are trailing him. Man, they are just on point.
So even if you watch on the mini map too, as the Kraken's traveling, you can tell in the long term, over the long distance, that the hunters are catching up quickly, right? And I know for a fact that we didn't really ever see, like, I know when the initial burst of getting away post-dome, you guys would relatively be at like an even distance from me, but over the long run, I was always gaining that distance. So on these big maps especially, I confidently feel like this will not happen.
Oh, the dome.
There's the dome, and he dodges another
missed.
dome. So this one, props to him. He actually dodged it. The tyrant was helping. Maybe he planned that. Calculated the tyrant. He calculated the tyrant last time. But
all calculated. But now he's in a much better place. He does still have about a quarter, not any health at all.
One thing to mention though, I am noticing he's having a difficulty with food here. And I feel like because he's been kind of killing food, getting harassed off it, he's killing the food, it decays. By the time he gets back there, it's gone. In the current state of the game, there's that bug that we talked about earlier with the food fix, and we will not see this happen anymore. So that even that element of the game should not be happening. Where he's running around looking for food, he's trying to get away, the dome cooldown's coming up, and he still doesn't even have full energy.
Yeah.
So that's yet another aspect of this patch that this will change so much, right? Like, even changing the food system is going to be a huge bump for the monsters in terms of this type of harass and just general stress levels. So I feel like again, I'm going to reiterate, on Tuesday, there's going to be a lot of stuff going in. I'm super pumped to see it. I hate to sound like a broken record saying this over and over, but this stuff going on in this competitive match right now is a perfect example of what we feel like should never happen.
Yeah, what we were trying to fix with these new changes. But we do see the Cloak Dome attempt coming in. Tharmak going on Rune over here. Rune going to tank it. Oh my! Rune.
Yeah.
Please, you're scaring me. Too good. Dodges the aftershock.
Again, though, he's overextended on the monster, and I feel like he would have gotten punished a lot harder.
Yeah.
So, and at this point, Tharmak, I'm feeling for him. He doesn't have loops. He got domed in Sloth Alley. He's got to mitigate as much as possible. Even he doesn't even have enough energy to evolve at this point. even if he does manage to mitigate, he's not going to have full energy by the time before that cooldown of the dome comes up. So
We do see the aftershock hitting on Rune.
the
But
shield is down. Okay, there we go.
yeah, but we got the Hank shield there to make sure that he doesn't go down. But at this point, Tharmak's on his last leg here. We see his armor finally going down. You know, playing around this tree, but there's only so much you can do at this point.
Poor Tharmak. Poor guy.
But it looks like it is GG for Tharmak there. Ninja Penguins showing how to pressure in the current meta.
Yes,
in many ways. You know, the Parnell coming in to just do a ton of damage. Like, you can see the drop. Like, as soon as he got there on that evolve, look how much he lost. Like, it was huge.
Yeah, that is super painful to see. And again, no, not the dog on Ninja Penguins, but I much preferred the first series of games where I feel like it was much more back and forth. We didn't see the Parnell harass and stuff, but I feel like overall we should have a lot more games like that first series that we saw.
Definitely. And, you know, there's a reason why Ninja Penguins has been winning all these tournaments. You know, I've started to lose count of how much Ninja Penguins has won.
They certainly know how to play to win, for sure. So,
yeah, they are definitely the kings of this meta. I'm gonna chime in with some of the players and see what's going on.
So I think we had some questions that Tara was saying that we were a little busy in the match. We did get a little into the match,
casting.
but,
I think that's what we're here to do, right?
No, that's fine.
Cast.
But if you guys have any questions, I think we missed some. I can try and scroll up here because I'm in full screen, so I want to minimize that. So sorry if we missed your guys' questions. If you guys want to kind of just retype those out, or if you can scroll through them, but you're talking to players. But if you guys have any questions, you feel like we missed them, we didn't really address them, feel free to ask again. So here we go. So the bird mechanics. So you're into
the bird question. I remember this one. So basically, does each meet increase the bird chances by 14.20 and 20% of the first two are not counted in linear fashion, or does the chance scale in a non-linear way? Example, first meat increases by 5%, second. Yeah, that's how it ends up being.
Yeah.
It's like every time you eat something, it gains. Like your chance for birds goes up.
Yeah.
So another thing too with this bird change was it was kind of frustrating that I would eat something and then 5 seconds later I would get another bird. I was like, God damn it! Like, why is this happening? So that's something that was eliminated. And that basically Whitehawk, how you explained it, and in that last sentence, that's how the birds do end up working.
Yeah. So some advantages of that too is like for high tier players, you can work around the RNG birds that were really frustrating. So like one thing I would do, like sometimes the hunters would be like, "Did you get any birds?" But it was like because you can herd the wildlife and kind of group them up and eat as much as possible at one time because you have that 20-second grace period.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that you can do to work around this new bird system, and it's not just like one game I get this bird spawn, and then the next game I get that bird spawn.
Well, the other big thing too is with the birds is like a lot of the spawns in the caves actually work. Now, so you can actually plan your route a lot more efficiently, especially on a map like Orbital Drill, which is like our big test map. I guess it's something to get inside the studio a bit for you guys, but pretty much our go-to map when we first do a balance change is like, all right, let's hit it on Orbital Drill, and let's see how it plays. Like Orbital Drill is like our go-to map. You know, we don't play around that pillar at the finale anymore because that's evil. The salt mines definitely get open when we do that.
They do. It's painful. Do the bird chances reset at any point in the match? When you spawn birds, it resets. So.
Could you talk about why you increased the range on the jetpack booster and the shield drone? One big thing with that was the shield drone. We felt we felt Sunny needed a little bit of a boost, not that big. Because we do like that she's limited as far as her beam weapons go, and she does have to think about where they go. But it was more of a, as Brandon would like to say, usability thing with Sunny. Is because you would be, at this range where you really felt like you should be using the beam, but it just wasn't there. 45, we want to move her up slowly because she's a very, how do I say this, very scary character when she's strong, as we've seen before. And we definitely have our eyes on her, and we feel like the bump to her new mini nuke being more consistent, more damage, and also just having that shield drone in a better spot. Will be much more helpful. So Let's see.
In combat traversal from 60 to 80 meters. So basically, for the combat traversal setup, if you attack the hunters as a monster, or the hunters attack you within that radius, you will have combat status for your traversal for that period of time, or that length until you leave it.
Yeah, it's either if you are in the 60 meter or if it's been 10 seconds.
Yes.
So if 10 seconds go by and you haven't been shot, then you're out of combat, or if you get outside of the radius.
The radius.
So basically, that radius is around every single hunter.
Yep.
So if you shoot, from 61 meters away, you're not putting him in combat.
Yep.
But if you, now with the new one, if you're 80 meters hitting him, he's going to be put into combat.
Yep.
And get that short bit of stamina.
So overall, if the hunters are on your back for, like we saw that last game, and they breach that, they hit that 80 meter mark, then the traversal will stop. But with the extra 20 meters, that burst in which you're closer to the hunters is much, much better for the monster. So
let's see. Are we going to look at god domes? We have our eyes on them. If they end up being a really big problem, we'll address it and do something about it. But it's one of those things. It's
there were bigger things on the plate.
Yeah, they're definitely, when we go into a balance patch, we look at what are the big priorities and what do we want to do, what are the goals that we're going to set for ourselves. And we will talk with Chris, and Chris will share his ideas, and we'll go back and forth, and we'll set up a roadmap, if you will, about where we're going to go. And a lot of people, that's the best way that we work, is having a bunch of problems that we want to fix. And then going at them. And, God domes is a problem that we're aware of, and I'm aware of a lot of them, and where we can, do things to adjust. But I feel at a later date when we do another map pass, because I do think that we're planning another map pass for the competitive scene, eliminating some of the things like the God Pillar of Autumn, whatever you want to call it, an orbital drill, stuff like that. It's one of those things that we're gonna look into it at a later date.
Yeah, totally. So Behemoth, why isn't Behemoth's armor increased at stage 3 from what it is now? I think it was kind of overall because we thought that there's a certain level of armor in this game that you can have before we get a little uncomfortable in how much you have. And Behemoth already has a lot of armor, so we felt like that it wasn't necessary to increase that armor level. And it kind of goes hand in hand with like why we increased race armor as well, because there's a certain standard of armor that allows the monster to do a certain thing before he has to change up his style of play, because there's too much pressure and he's taking health damage. And Behemoth kind of already hit that threshold of armor that we were comfortable with. So increasing that anymore would have made it probably a little too drastic.
Yeah, a little excessive, I think is the best way to put it. The new Behemoth is actually pretty damn scary. We actually lose to this Behemoth now.
What was it, 3 times in a row? Just remember 3.
But when this new Behemoth, this was because there was a point where we hadn't changed the lava bomb, and we also hadn't changed the movement speed, and I was like, man, this Behemoth doesn't feel that good. And then Chris was actually upstairs on when we were doing all this, and he just went and injected the changes, and then threw it in, and the difference was instantly noticeable. Being able to stick on your target as Behemoth is huge, especially now that tongue works as intended. It's going to be scary.
Very scary.
It's definitely beatable. It's not like he's going to be the king of the meta, but I definitely think we'll see him in competitive. And I think a lot of players will be happy with the new, this new monster that you get to fight, because we've had Behemoth in the game for so long, but people have never had the opportunity to really fight against him. We have this Behemoth now that's not that scary. Like he has his moments where he can just tear you up. And he does have those small, timing windows he can hit. But this new Behemoth is pretty damn scary.
He's definitely. I noticed that. I feel Behemoth is more squishy than Wraith. So basically, with this new Behemoth, I feel like I definitely agree with you. He takes body damage almost the entire time, and he's very easy to hit. So he's taking consistent damage, and it seems very drastic compared to most monsters. When you look at the health, he's taking a lot of damage. But with this new Behemoth, we're reinforcing the zone control, and we're reinforcing kind of like his style of play, which is come fight in my domain. Because I can't, any other monster, I can hop around and you can kind of choose where you fight. Where Behemoth, if he gets caught in a situation where he's put on tilt because it's not his scenario, he has a very rough scenario. But I feel like when he's in a very favorable position, if you can force those fights, which you're more than capable of this behemoth for sure, is forcing a fight because you can just really mess up that assault player. That assault player can't force you into work.
Playing hide against this behemoth is extremely scary.
So with the current behemoth, you can kind of pick and choose where you want to fight because that assault player, you can just mess him up really quick. He's not going to push you anywhere. So you can basically, if you fight in the scenario of I'm going to zone out people with Lava Bomb, I'm going to have Rock Wall that is actually taller now. If you go higher to the level 3 or level 2, I think level 2 is about the same.
Yeah.
Level 3 is higher and it's basically bigger because of that. So if you reinforce the fact that he zone controls, he can mitigate a lot of damage and he can force people to come to him dealing a lot of damage. And he's more of a defensive monster and you fight in his domain.
Yeah.
So if he does that properly, he's very difficult to kill because he's mitigating damage by dealing damage, and he's also mitigating damage of wall, rock ton, his stun locks, as everybody, as you guys know too well. He's very good at tumble locking people, and he kind of mitigates damage through basically passive aggressiveness.
Yeah.
So
giving that aggression.
Whereas Wraith she doesn't really make you fight anywhere. She kind of, I mean, unless she abducts somebody far away, but she kind of has to commit in, right? Whereas Behemoth, you feel like as a hunter team, you can kind of just corner him a little bit. So he can be like, all right, I know I'm going to get cornered, but come to me, right?
Yeah.
Come fight me here. So
Come on. Yeah,
So-
no, I mean that's a big thing with Behemoth. That's the super fun thing playing against him is it feels like an old school like boss battle from
he's a moving fortress.
moving fortress essentially, and that's a cool thing. I did mention the tongue change. I saw a question about it in chat. Is now it'll actually grab the hunter and bring him to you.
Yeah.
And like sometimes where you'll see it attach and then not
And then
do the pull.
he doesn't do the pull. You go flying some weird direction.
Yeah.
And even like reinforcing the boss point, like even with like making, because Lava Bomb was originally intended to be a zoning ability, whereas in the current live state, those AoE pools that come from the Lava Bomb impact, they don't really do too much. I mean, they're painful. Don't get me wrong, but they don't do a ton of damage. And the impact was kind of like a secondary fissure that was different.
Yeah.
So we kind of just like took away from the impact and reinforced it as a zoning tool. And if anybody played World of Warcraft or just in general like boss fights, if you stand in an AoE, you're gonna have a bad time. And I feel like even just having that as a stronger damage dealer, it's really cool to see that. Like if you stand in this lava pool, you're gonna get messed up really bad. So we're seeing a Lazarus Sunny comp. Did they run this before?
No, I know they've been
And
running
Maggie.
Lazarus, so it's an interesting switch up for them. It is on MedLab, and
Oh, so the punish is real. I'm starting to have
man.
triggers here with the
Triggers.
the Sunny Laz comp. And
Cliff, do you have a Twitter?
do I have a Twitter?
You're getting asked that question in chat.
What's Cliff's Twitter? I don't have a Twitter.
We don't have a tweeter.
I don't have a tweeter.
I'm
I might have a tweeter.
a tweeter. We'll worry about that later.
Yeah.
Also, to answer one is yes, Cash, we did fix that bug where you would grab a hunter and they don't get pulled.
Yes.
So a lot of those, that's our job as live QA.
Yeah.
We kind of look at the bugs in the live game and say what needs to be fixed and make sure we push things along to these people. And Tara in the chat.
Tara.
Tara
Nobody has Twitters.
Yeah, Tara
Come on
knows that we go around barking at the office, making sure we get our super frustrating bugs fixed.
Huge props to the pro. Like seriously, like huge props to the programmers at Total Rock because we really were like going around just like we need to get this fixed. And they were more than willing to help us out, and we got them done quickly and effectively, and we knocked out a ton of bugs. So huge thanks and huge props to the programming team at Total Rock.
Definitely the unsung heroes.
Totally.
Being able to turn up for this big title update that we have coming for Hunt 2.0, so it's going to be exciting.
So if you're going to thank anybody about, wow, I don't have the traversal bug, or wow, food spawns, or any of this stuff, don't thank us, thank the programmer. Or thank us a little bit.
Oh, wow. All right, enough about
Thank
us.
the programmers.
Enough about us and the programmers. We have ourselves a game. We do have Lennox, Lazarus, Sunny, and Maggie, and of course the Daisy Cam coming through with that Night Hunter skin. We do see Nightwing actually getting some damage in the stage 1.
Linux.
Yeah.
Wow.
And stage 1 dome too.
he does have full energy, so if he does manage to pull off the kill... Oh, nice charge there. He hit multiple targets and eliminated the shield, which is probably going to solidify him a kill here. The fire dot does finish the kill.
Wow.
Lazarus is in the game, though, but super important. He's going to get away. He's probably going to evolve before that dome comes off cooldown.
Yeah, that's the hope here, right? But we do have to keep in mind that Sunny is in the game, and she is going to be using this jetpack booster.
Yeah.
And this Lennox player is going to be, oh wow, perfect use of the leap smash right there as a second traversal. But we, Jesus, the bunny hopping and everything. Rune will be right on that monster and hopefully getting a more evolved punish.
Yep.
And this is another reason why we did look at Lennox, because a lot of people were saying like, oh, you know, Lennox is in a really good place, but we did actually make a change to her to make her a little slower with that second traversal that she has.
Totally.
So
and we found that it doesn't really affect her combat, like really at all, to be honest. Of course, it's going to affect it. That's just the nature of affecting numbers like that. But overall, we felt like the combat itself it wasn't noticeable really.
yeah, big damage getting put down on Rune here.
Man, Rune really likes to push the limits, doesn't
Pushing the limit right there, living life on the edge.
Alright, so I think Maggie took reload perk this game, it feels, because that came up pretty quick there after the evolve. So they're still getting the dome up.
Oh man.
Oh well,
Rune
he doesn't
is
care
down.
because it is Lazarus. So
Savvy with the instant res.
Oh man, he probably wasn't expecting that.
No.
Was he already cloaked and he was looking for Lazarus? Is that
No,
what happened?
Savvy just came down there really quick. I don't think he used his cloak. It just
Yep.
right away. We just see
Rune.
Rune.
Then Rune goes down again.
Rune goes down again.
Man. Then he goes up.
Savvy comes
my
in and
God.
saves him again.
So Tharmak's probably hating his life right now, but it's okay.
You know, if he can land a big rock, you know, he does have 3 in rock. He is actually going on Rune again, who should have his shield up soon. You know, he hasn't been killed.
Here
so
comes the leap smash. There it is.
man.
Oh man.
Oh, Rune has his shield
So
now.
he's about to kill Assault Player 3 times now, but obviously Tharmak, it didn't really pay off for the poor guy.
Yeah, it didn't pay off because he's about to lose all of his health, Cliff.
Yeah, so
That's GG.
that is GG, a single dome.
Ninja Penguin showing that Lazarus res was pretty on point, and I think it was weird that he didn't prepare to camp the body. You know, when you have the assault down like that, you really you do have Maggie shooting you, you do have Sunny, but you don't have that much more. That's like punishment coming out. There's not a cabot in the game. You know, Sunny does do quite a bit of damage on a body camp, but I feel at that point he should have just gone on to the Lazarus and camped the body.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like he got him down twice in one dome. The Sunny rocket grenade launcher does a lot of damage for the mini nuke. But overall, I felt like the punish was still manageable, and he was able to probably do something different there. But both times he got that assault player out, he had enough distance between him and the incap that Lazarus was just like, well, if you're going to give it to me, I'm going to take it, right? So I feel like there wasn't a whole lot of counterplay going on against that Lazarus comp. I personally know how tough it is for the Sunny Laz.
Yeah, Sunny Laz is
very
rough.
difficult. But there was definitely more that he could have done in that, I feel, to kind of counter that Lazarus combo. And he did, I mean, taking down the assault player is actually pretty strong when going against Lazarus, because they lose a lot of that punish that Lazarus comps are all about. So I'd hate to see... I don't know. Lazarus definitely did his job really well.
Yeah,
no, props to him.
Lazarus definitely turned up there. Let's see what's going on here. I'm getting a word on the other games. It looks like Hunt 2.0 and Gobi just finished. Let's see who ended up coming out the victor. We will be seeing Ninja Penguins go forward in the finals yet again.
Yep.
It wouldn't be an ESL Sunday without Ninja Penguins in the finals at this point.
It's very true.
But let's see what we have going on for the brackets. They are starting their game. I'm looking over to A-Seed, seeing if he's casting. I start talking with him. Again,
if you guys have any questions about Hunt 2.0 or in general, if you're new to the game, go ahead and feel free to ask.
Yeah, I mean, we've got time now. We might try and get a... Is this cast broadcasted from a tin can? Yes, Brandon. It's casted from a tin can.
Tara really doesn't like that I didn't make my bed this morning.
Is she...
It was made the last time we casted, so right now we're 50-50.
Oh, yeah.
So it's okay.
We're batting 500. It's all right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll remember for the next time because Tara's made a big stink about it.
Yeah.
But, just want to say thanks to everyone for coming out. This has been a kind of last minute thing. Unfortunately, we didn't have much time to prepare for it yesterday. I was out of town.
Yep.
On some issues,
No, it's-
some stuff.
Our production quality is probably top tier right now.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. The ESL studio takes notes
Yeah.
from our production.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they ask us, hey, you know, should we have our bed not made when we start casting games?
That was actually a key factor
Yes.
in why we did this. So
yeah.
we thought that we could get our numbers up about roughly 20%. They told us, I think it was.
Yeah.
Or was it 25?
25%.
I think it was
You know,
25.
25% increase. So something
So-
like that.
So Tara, you know,
Yeah, you know,
pro tips.
pro tips.
So a few patches ago, Goliath's traversal recharge time was slowed by a couple of seconds. In this patch, it's slowed by a couple more seconds, being how difficult it is to make distance. Any specific reason for it? So with Goliath, we found that he was actually most effective for gaining distance in general. But with the 20-meter increase for combat, combined with the fact that he's already one of the strongest guys for getting away, one of the strongest monsters for getting away, we just had to kind of bring that down a bit. And we also reduced his combat traversal, and we figured that was mainly because he was like, he's got leap, he has charge, and he has 3 traversals. He has basically 5 traversals, you know. So he was really dodging in domes, mitigating a ton, and that kind of goes hand in hand on why we want to reinforce the domes early on. If a monster can just straight up mitigate, if he has full shield stage 1 and he can mitigate damage consistently, and you can, a hunter team can never break into health, that is the reason why we kind of wanted to kind of bring him down a little bit and kind of just get rid of that jittery jumpiness. So
Let's see here. I think we're gonna try and get into. Let's see. Try and get into another game. You guys keep throwing those questions out.
And that's a very good point, Drathic. That charge also lasts longer, and the cooldown reduction from putting points into leap, we kind of had to, you know, we had to keep that stuff in mind, because with those changes, we're also going to increase the speed of Goliath.
Let's see. What else?
Recharge time on increase in harpoons. So harpoons are actually much better now because they're harder to break as a monster. So the way to explain it is you have a pizza slice in front of you instead of a half a pizza that you can break the harpoon. So it's much more difficult for the monster to break harpoons. It's overall going to feel better, especially if you ever... The reason why we fix this is because there's a lot of weird inconsistencies where if like the monster was just even slightly over to the right or to the left, you'd break the harpoon, and then you, as a Griffin player or even a Magi, it's like, he wasn't even looking at the harpoon when he broke that. And especially with Kraken, he'd be flying around and throwing his little snowballs, and all of a sudden every single harpoon is breaking, and he's not looking at me. So we're trying to get rid of that inconsistency and that weird, like, because harpoons are designed to do, you know, they're supposed to attach, bring him down, stop him from moving. But when you're doing this and you're not getting that feedback, it's frustrating as a player, and overall it's just going to be what you expect them to be.
Let's see, we have a question about Behemoth. That does end up making him faster in the roll, I believe, as well. I'd have to check in the XML to make sure.
Yeah, so Brandon has a question for guidance. How can your salt mines be open 24/7? Well, you see on the stock market right now, salt is extremely valuable.
Salt is a valuable resource.
So
in the
I
world of
figured
Cliff.
if I'm going to do it 24/7, I'd be bringing in some bank. It just only makes sense. So,
should we just join their game?
so does increasing... Did you already answer this one?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Okay,
but you were off in another world.
You know,
It does end up making you faster.
That's selective hearing. Yes.
Yeah. Does end up making you faster. I think we're just gonna join the Apex game. I don't know. I think Mazel. Well, both their games are joinable.
So it's Apex versus Ninja Penguins.
No. It's Apex versus Gobi Samurai right now.
Okay.
And I know Seeds. I'm gonna see if he's even casting yet. So he's in. Wait. Okay. So we're Mazel. We're just gonna join this game. Here we go.
All right.
Joining the party. We're going in. I'm gonna update the stream title. Let's see.
And again, guys, we're going right into it. So
Yeah, right into it.
all right, go ahead and switch the seats.
Apex versus.
And again, if you guys want to, you can go ahead and prepare some questions. If you have any questions, just type them out, and then when we're done with this match, we can answer them. So you can just hold off. Like if you enter the questions during the match, we probably won't be able to get to them. But when we're finished, feel free.
Yeah, save your questions for after the match. And also, we do have a couple devs in chat.
Wraith.
We got in just in time, I feel. We get to see some Wraith action go in.
And Markov. And Lazarus again. We're seeing a lot of Lazarus today. I think we've only seen, what, 2 matches without Lazarus?
Yeah, Lazarus actually been a pretty common pick this ESL.
We haven't seen Abe at all.
Oh man, it looks like he's actually going in. Does have Lazarus pretty low, going in for those heavies, but he is trading his health for this.
The punish is super strong on that Cabot amped lightning gun.
Oh my god, does he get the double hit?
He's gonna get him.
Oh no, get him!
He's gonna try and probably resurrect. Oh no, Markov's still going for the DPS punish.
Laz is
He could
down.
finish the match right here. He's gonna have to prevent this resurrect. He's gonna have to choose between one or the other. He could possibly finish out this match right here.
But he is actually getting punished by that Cabot amp.
Super strong punish. Oh
man,
I
the Lazzy is dead.
Alright, so right now, all 3 hunters are probably a little worried. So at this point, the Wraith is probably... Oh, he's stage 1!
Yeah.
Wait, I thought he was stage 2!
No, he's stage 1.
Wow.
I was gonna, make a mention that... Did Maslow get the patch notes early? Did he download it before it came out? Like this is looking like a Hunt 2.0 game.
Yeah.
But Maslow definitely showing that you're not gonna run this last Cabot, and I'd say as a Wraith player, Cabot is always not something I'd ever want to run into a Wraith.
Totally.
Like Hank and Sonny is definitely where I'd always want to be with the Wraith.
Yeah.
When you see Maslow going in.
And in ESL, you choose your medic and your support after the monster, right? So surprisingly enough, they didn't pick really around the Wraith.
Oh man, the Cabot going down.
Like almost an instant kill.
Looks like this might be game if he saves him. Cabot does come back up, but he does now have 2 strikes, and the Trapper gaining another strike. He could finish the game if he plays this right.
He is making work of the fact that Lazarus is not up right now. Did a really good job destroying the mine without actually taking the damage. Trapper is about to be officially killed out. Cabot goes down. Only person alive is this Salt, and there's only 34 seconds. And that is game. Stage 1 win.
Wow.
Wraith versus the Lazarus count.
Well,
as we always see, Lazarus is a very risky pick.
Yeah.
We see him picked a lot, and we've seen him win quite consistently today.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say, like as we already talked about, I don't think Lazarus is a very safe pick into the Wraith count.
Yeah, no, I definitely don't like picking Lazarus into Wraith, and as a Wraith player, whenever I see it, I'm pretty damn happy.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like Wraith can really stick on a medic or a hunter really well. And having that opportunity that you can basically CC chain this guy, get him in abductions, get him in all that, and keep going from there, it's rough.
It's rough.
And I know, and I see it in chat, because we did mention that looks similar to a Hunt 2.0 game. It doesn't look fully similar.
Yeah.
You can't just go all in at one and win.
Yeah. So basically, you're definitely going to get punished just as hard.
Yeah.
There's no change there.
Mm-hmm.
And on most of the monsters, it's still like you have less armor than you do now.
Mm-hmm.
So the punish is still there. I think this game is going to be more about counter picks for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So the flexibility of what you pick is going to change, hopefully, quite a bit with this patch. Mm-hmm. And as we've seen there, I don't necessarily agree with the Lazarus comp against a Wraith, because Wraith, as we know, once she gets once she's focused on a target, she's gonna tumble lock you, and she's gonna make you have a really bad day. So with a Lazarus, once the Lazarus is down, that you can completely wipe really quickly. So and they didn't really have, like, Habit doesn't bring anything besides his cloak like any other support to keep Lazarus alive.
Yeah.
So a Sunny would have been better probably even. So that was definitely a high risk play by them by picking, once they saw Wraith, still picking the Cabot Lazarus.
Wraith gonna be OP on Tuesday? I don't think so. As far as our games when we were playing them, it definitely didn't feel like I had that much power.
Yep.
And no, I do have power, but it's not like overpowered.
Yeah.
Is what I mean by that. And even in the office, some of the playtest feedback that we were getting is, this Wraith, I haven't had this much fun fighting Wraith in months.
Yeah.
And that was something really cool to hear from a lot of people that have been playing in these games, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
From my perspective, seeing this new Wraith, getting to play against it, getting to play with it.
Yep.
You know, I have way more fun. I think part of it comes from the new fast dome. It makes Wraith a lot easier to fight, get her in a dome,
Yep.
and you know, kind of choose where you're going to be fighting. And that's the big thing. And Wraith will be stronger, but I don't think it'll be to the point where you're like, oh damn, this is overpowered.
And we definitely have to remind you guys, if there is some legitimate concerns of her being OP, if you've watched scenes or her played in previous games, like any monster can really win outright like that. We've seen it happen time and time again.
Yeah.
If the scenario's right and the team matchups are a little, you know, maybe in the favor of another team or whatever it might be, there's a lot of deciding factors that can allow what we just see. We've seen Cyril with Kraken do it time and time again before, and we've also seen Wraith in games just get super stressful. She can't do anything.
Yeah.
She's not breaking through anybody's defenses. She's not even coming close to a strike. So the majority, 90% of the time, Wraith she's in a bad spot.
Yeah.
So hopefully bringing her up will get her into a more consistent area where, like in our games, I felt like almost every single game it came down to 2 health bars or we won. 2 health bars on the monster or the hunters won. It came down to like super, super close games every single time, and we did several of those.
Yeah.
So again, as long as your composition of team is kind of revolving around what you think is viable against a certain there's certain monsters that you straight up just wouldn't pick certain characters.
Yeah.
That still applies here, and I feel like a big aspect of why that match went the way it went.
Yeah, it's just like in a MOBA game or even Dota. Like, you're not going to pick certain characters. Like, when you see, like, a Storm Spear come out in Dota, I don't know if anyone's a Dota fan, but International just happened. Yeah. You know, you do one, and
even, like, Markov, right? Like, you can just, against Wraith, just do your traversal over the mine or do a Warp Blast over the mine, or even Abduction. Decoy, everything. You can counter those mines super hard. Like, Wraith is probably the biggest counter to Markov. So there's a lot of factors going on in it.
Looks like Brandon's got the dome thing. Taking credit for that one. That was a big change Brandon had been asking for quite some time.
Yep.
And then we have another question I'll answer right here. I noticed you guys are changing a lot of equipment to remove the penalty for entering the battery, like with the lightning gun, but you guys didn't change everything. Any reason Sunny's jetpack gun didn't get this change as well? Well, we are buffing her this next patch, so we don't want to give it to everyone. Like, some characters deserve having that penalty.
Yeah.
Because we feel it keeps them in line, right? Yeah. We looked at Val, Markov, and Hank and Cabin. We said, you know, does this need to be there? Is this punishing them or is it helping them? Keep in line. We felt Val and Markov definitely could use a little love, so that's why they ended up getting it. Hank also was just to change it to where we found a lot of high-level players would take like capacity and use a shield up to a certain point and then let off. Yeah. So we decided that this ended up punishing newer players a lot more than what we intended, and we also want to make sure this game's balanced for both sides. It's not just about making it for the competitive scene, but it is competitive scene and then every other scene is combined, right? Like, what is going to be the best overall change? So that was the biggest change with all the recharges. Yeah. And that's why we haven't done it on Sunny yet. You know, if she ends up needing it, then that's something we'll talk about, and we do have a plan for our next couple series of micro patches that we want to do. And that's just one of the ideas behind changing the recharge.
And keep in mind, guys, we're definitely going to be like going in overdrive once this patch is released. We'll be looking at everybody's concerns and looking at things as they progress. Yeah. And see, like, oh, we didn't expect that. Now we're going to adjust. Yeah. And we didn't expect this. And then we do stuff accordingly, right? So if there's some valid concerns there and we feel that, that needs to be taken care of, don't worry. We're watching and we're paying attention. And if you guys if you're on the forums or whatnot, or if you're not already on the forums, be sure to put your concerns there. People look at it. Chris is on there every day. Corey's on there every day. Nick's on there there's a lot of people on there at all times. So if you guys have some serious concerns and there's not like streaming or whatever it might be, just feel free, or even if we are streaming, if you put it in the forums, it's kind of like a database for people. We literally put like bugs and concerns and stuff. We look at things and we put them in our database sometimes. So,
yeah, I mean that's a big thing of Turtle Rock right now is we're trying to push a lot more transparency with the community. Getting it, you know, we don't want to hide so much anymore, and we're getting a lot more freedom to be able to start talking about what we're doing in the future, and even be able to go on stream and give a sneak preview 2 weeks ago to these patch changes and all that, and having a bug list on the forums and saying like, hey, we're aware of this, is what we're going to be fixing, and that's a big thing for us. So
Brandon kind of wants to talk about like how the monster feels with the new dome again. We covered a little bit early on. We kind of touched a lot of different specific topics, but I guess in general to kind of give like a better scope of things. So if there's some new, we do have quite a bit more people than we did when we talked about it before. Mm-hmm. So from a Goliath perspective, I do Goliath, Behemoth. He does usually Kraken and Wraith. That's kind of how we split the balance, because when he did tournaments, that's where his characters were. That's where my tournaments, I was like a Goliath guy. So monster kind of right now going into like the fast dome and the overall balance of me being stronger. I guess I can start off with the skills. The skills, I can do a 4-point split usually, almost every single time. It allows me to do more consistent damage. It gives me more opportunity for, hey, I missed 2 abilities. Hey, I still have 2 abilities up. It's not all about the bursts. There's a lot of stuff that I can do that I couldn't do before in terms of, hey, this Parnell is super way overextended. I can quickly burst him down. If his teammates aren't there ready to save him, I will probably solidify a kill. With the fast dome, I was expecting, hey, I'm going to be super stressed, and I don't know what the heck to do, because if I get stuck in a corner, I'm going to get domed. But very quickly I realized expecting the dome to be quick and not having the expectation of, oh, I'm going to get out. I have to dodge this. I didn't. You can still dodge things, but I'll kind of touch that later. So basically, when I get domed, I'm always expecting to fight. I can usually initiate fights because I can get somebody low very quickly. So it's not so much about them having pressure on me all the time. It's about me there's a balance there, right? This tug of war, and it's not so much just like one team completely, bulldozing over one or the other. So basically, with the fast dome, I'm able to still do the long-term run and dodge. Mm-hmm. If there's a long distance that I need to go, like on Orbital Drill, there's a section with large geometry chunks that I can still use to bait the trapper into overextending, and I am more than capable of avoiding domes, even though they're instant. Yeah. So that was kind of like a huge concern that people had. And the mix of me being more aggressive, and me having lower shields and stuff is something to bring up. This not so much for the monster play, but me having less shields doesn't allow me to be as dodgy and just completely mitigate damage early on. So that kind of gives an incentive for the hunters to also dome me. But me playing more aggressive and me losing shields while being aggressive is also another incentive to dome me. But the potential of getting a kill also is a weighing factor in why I would actually go in for a kill at stage 1. There's huge potential there. Getting a stage 1 kill is pretty valuable, to say the least. But overall, I feel like the experience is way less stressful. The fighting is way more fun. Yeah. I've always been a charge Goliath. I can use charge without hurting my damage overall. There's a lot more room for build opportunity. I actually change my build depending on how the match is going, which is something really cool to do too. And obviously, depending on the comp, I also build differently. Yeah.
You ready?
But there's a lot of versatility that you can add to your playstyle. And overall, you're just like, you're doing a lot more for the hunter. Like before, in the current state of the game, it's like run the jetpack out, use your burst ability. If you hit it, awesome. If you miss it, shit. And it's like, I talked about this. I think we got cut off last the other night, but in the current state of the game, it's all about burst and not sustained damage. So the health bars of the hunters are going down. It resets, goes down, resets, and it's all about hitting that second iteration of burst usually. Yeah. And now it's more like sustain, and then they recover a little bit, sustain. And you have to keep hitting those abilities, and it rewards the skillful players, and the hunters have a much harder time constantly dodging. They also can dodge better. Yeah. Because the
new jetpack, man, it feels so much better.
So there's all kinds of stuff that you can do with the utility changes, and overall, you can just feel like you can do way more, and it's not as nearly as stressful. And that is like a huge chunk of what we wanted to change is the stress levels of the monsters. It's like I can't do anything. They're on my back all the time. I can't fight them because the potential of getting a kill is way too low. Now it's more like, oh, I'm really low, but this guy is super overextended. Now I can do something about it. So overall, it's just like way less stress, and I can. Oh, you're running. low.
Battery's dying on the laptop.
Battery's dying. So way less stress, way more fun to watch, and those stage 3 fights on how long they last. Like it might be scary. Oh, the fights are long, last way longer at stage 3. But I also have longer or shorter cooldowns on things, larger radiuses, whatever it might be. So I'm able to hit my abilities very consistently. Like I can hit them almost all the time as long as I'm, being careful and I'm being very precise. So eventually I whittled them away, and I have more shields at stage 3, which also allows me to commit longer and give me more opportunity because like currently it's like I fuck up once or twice at stage 3, I lose shields and I'm running. And now it's more about, sustained fights, more action, and stage 3 is phenomenal.
Oh, Jesus.
You get it?
No.
Here, let me.
Power cables are too hard.
We got problems with.
We got problems.
Rico's having issues here, guys.
Jesus. Hold on. Jesus. It's alright. Technical difficulties on the laptop.
There we go. Problem solved. All right, but yeah, more fun. That is the word to explain it.
It's fast. It's fun. It's Evolve Hunt 2.0.
And bucket.
And buckets there.
Yes. And Behemoth, you have to the first thing I noticed is that you have to respect Behemoth.
Respect.
Yes.
Behemoth.
There is no more like I'm gonna sit up here and toy with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like that thing is very scary and I want to go the opposite direction.
See, someone else hates your Mac just as much as I do.
Wow.
Since my computer's at
Hey,
work.
Windows is installed. So
Yeah,
it's,
we got Windows on
it's
it,
a
so we're
pseudo
good.
Mac.
It just has the logo. We've been working away at some issue that we've hopefully gonna get a fix for. It's on my computer.
Yep. So he doesn't have his actual.
Yeah, I
computer.
don't have my computer at home right now. So hopefully we get that back soon.
Yeah, Tara's on a Mac right now.
But yeah, guys, we're gonna be going into this final here. This is gonna be Epex versus Ninja Penguins.
Predictions on character picks.
Parnell,
Griffin,
Kyra Hank, being
Okay.
that Slim is banned,
and Distillery.
Yeah, this is gonna be a rough game. Okay.
If it has Windows on it, it's mostly okay.
Yeah,
as long as it's mostly okay.
It's mostly okay. And one final question before we go into this. Hay and Griffin versus Behemoth, a reload move speed Griffin who is on his game. It's nearly impossible to escape from. Do you think the combination of Harpoon reload nerf and the move speed buff will allow him to make a better getaway? Yeah, I would
Well, the thing is too.
say yeah.
I'm gonna touch on this as a Behemoth player. Remember, taking Rockwall doesn't hurt your damage very much anymore, if at all.
Yeah.
Rockwall is a huge counter to the Griffin harpoons, and I believe we reduced the overall drag from the harpoons. There's a lot of things that we affected the harpoon overall. The cooldown reduction, or the reload increase, as you mentioned, and then the overall movement speed increase. There's a lot of factors. There's like a bunch of factors that make that specific scenario better for Behemoth in the current state of the game. So again, I would just reiterate. You can take multiple abilities now and be like, oh, this utility ability would kill my damage. Now it's like, I can take this utility ability and not kill my damage.
Yeah.
So you definitely have to keep that in mind when moving forward in this new patch.
So enough about the new patch. We got ourselves game one of the finals.
I didn't see the picks. I saw Abe.
I saw the picks.
I saw Wraith.
We've got like 3 monitors over here, so there's
I
a
know.
lot to look at.
Yeah.
But we do have Wraith from Mazel. No surprise there. It's on Distillery, so I would say it's a good Wraith map.
Yeah.
But we do have Hyde, Kyra, Sunny, and Abe.
Yeah.
And this is actually a pretty interesting comp, and we did see Mazel stage 1 a team when they did have Lazarus, but I don't think we'll see a stage 1 fight from Mazel here, and if he does, I don't think he's going to end up downing anyone.
So
just having the Kyra sustain early on.
So what are your thoughts on the Sunny pick versus Wraith? Why do you think they swapped it up from Hank?
You know, I think Sunny is actually really effective against Wraith because having the AoE nuke, you know, you're going to get more damage. And also having that jetpack dodge where you can get out of these combos that Wraith likes to put you in, you know, with the abduction and the warp blast and all that combo. You know, being able to get out of that is a big deal. Also on this map, applying pressure on Wraith because this is Wraith before she gets any, you know, the new
totally.
combat range of Hunt 2.0. So she does have a issue of getting away from the hunters, you know, and after using her burst.
Yep. So me, if I was Mazel in this scenario, I would definitely be looking out to try and burst somebody out really quickly before Sunny gets the setup with her shield drone.
Oh yeah.
Because the big distinct disadvantage is with Sunny is the fact that she takes time to set up, and she can actually cause teammates to overextend sometimes too. So that's something else to look out for as Mazel in this scenario. So right now they're sitting at the midpoint and they're looking to just react to wherever the Wraith player is going. Sunny is actually setting up her drone to kind of be ready for if Mazel does decide to go in on somebody. But this isn't a Lazarus comp, and there's a lot of sustain in this team. So I'm not gonna. I'm gonna predict that there's probably not gonna be any stage 1 conflict going on.
Whoa, did we see a stage 1 dome? Wow.
He doesn't have the full energy to evolve yet, so
Yeah,
that's
I know.
something to keep in mind too.
He's going to have to spend some time post-dome getting that evolve, and I think they were just aware of it. We do see him doing some damage onto Nightwing here, but we do have those Kyber grenades coming in to save the day. But
Oh, it looks like he does have a really nasty loop
Yeah.
right here, so...
this is a good loop for him. You know, even with the Sunny and the Abe, they're going to be tracking him. They're going to be on him on this post-dome, but he should be able to escape this dome without losing out on too much health. Oh man, that Hyde coming in, shredding that armor. He is going to be...
Oh, he's about to hit him multiple... Yeah, he got Sunny relatively low there. The Kyra heal bomb is actually used up at this point. But he is out of armor. He is taking permanent health damage. And he's getting slowed by the Abe stasis grenade.
man.
It's like super painful for Wraith. And now he's getting stuck into a corner that he can't really escape. Wow, Spanners is getting right up in the face with his shotgun.
Spanner's a little out of position. He might actually go down here if the heavies come
if
in.
anything, it's bait at this point. Extra punish is going down. The dome is down. He did get... Oh my god!
Oh no!
Spanners gets away with probably negative 1%.
Yeah, like that was ended up being a bait at the end of the day. You know, Mazel, his mind was trying to get a strike, trying to get something for all this health that he's lost. But because he wasn't able to have enough damage early on, he wasn't able to get that strike.
That's super rough. Spanners just super low. He would have at least given him something for losing that health.
Yeah. This is looking pretty rough for him now because at this point he's got to feed, and then now he's gonna try and get involved. But they've got Sunny on the trail already, and it's looking rough for Mazel here, especially on Distillery. It's super hard to get away from the hunters right now.
Yeah.
But we'll see what he can do. He's gonna try and do some sneak play, just throw out a heavy on a rune, and eventually trying to make his escape.
Yeah, you can definitely tell that they're just setting up for the dome on the evolve because they were really grouped there and they're just all moving in a single file line basically, just waiting for that evolve in the cave. Mazel does not look like he's gonna go for the evolve. Oh, the moment I say that, he's gonna go for it. This is pretty risky. Thankfully, it is not Parnell, but it is Hyde, and Hyde already uses Toxic Grenade as you see, so his DPS isn't gonna be as high. But he's still gonna do more than enough damage.
And we see everyone ripping him apart.
All 4 hunters on the dome, or on the evolve, doing a lot of damage. It's 4-man Warp Blast, but that's game.
He didn't even survive past the ability select screen to go down.
Yep.
I mean that was just the pressure right there.
So that again, that's kind of reinforcing. We had these Wraith OP remarks going on, right?
Yeah.
But as we can see, that the pressure that she can't really handle, she can't really fight back, and she has a lower health pool than any other monster. So that kind of adds up over time, and she just can't handle it right now in the current meta.
I mean, that's one of the things when you pick properly against a Wraith, and also he wasn't able to dodge that first dome.
Yeah.
You know, because he did cross the Trapper's path, and it ended up being a rough spot for him.
Yep.
And at that point, he's caught in the middle of the map, and Nightwing has said time and time again he really likes getting those midpoint domes, and they will dome you at stage 1, especially with a Sunny comp, when they get in an area like that. But we are going into game number 2, and looks like we have... I'm going to see if we have any report on the score of the second game. Looks like Source has looks like he's full health, full armor, stage 2 against Epex's Hunters. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yep.
But the score is currently 1-0 right now. Also, make sure you guys, I posted it in the chat if you want.
And this is MedLab, so I'm really curious if Mazel decides to go with Wraith again, because as we know, Wraith in the run game, she hurts. It hurts for her. And this is a pretty small map. not very much wiggle room for the monster player. And you basically have to, in a small map like this, it's about combat. You really, I don't know. I personally feel like Kraken's probably the best pick in terms of early game combat. But who knows? Maybe he'll pick a Goliath. Maybe he'll pick someone else. But right now it seems like Mazel's really comfortable with Wraith, so maybe he'll just roll with Wraith again, and he does.
Yeah, it looks like he hasn't locked in yet, so he might be reconsidering. Oh, nope, he's locked in, so he's going with the Wraith again. And I have some really bad memories against Ninja Penguins on this map with their Sunny comp, and when I played Wraith, and it was rough.
It's painful.
You know, I'm gonna assume that they're gonna pick Sunny again. Spanners is kind of sitting here; they haven't fully decided yet. You know, I would say it worked for him on Distillery. It's probably gonna work for him on Med Lab.
Yep, both small maps, both pretty difficult for the Wraith overall. I just think that I actually went against Ninja Penguins on Distillery with Wraith, and I know it was a lot of running. I eventually got the stage 2 off, but it was about 10 minutes in at that point. So I don't know, maybe Mazel has to really gun it out until he figures out he can get a stage 2 evolve off, even though that seems insanely difficult with an Abe, Sunny, but there still is always room to try and pull off that sneak, especially with the Abe nerf that we had within the last month or so. There's more than enough room for opportunity to get away after the dart drops. It's just you really have to know the map well, and you have to capitalize on that very small window of opportunity when you get that dart drop.
So we do see him eating the 3 bodies over on Med Lab. You know, I think he's really going to try for a sneak lane. As I say that, here he goes on the sneak. But he's definitely got to be careful, right? This is a rough map to try and get sneaks on. But if you utilize the underneath part of where the missile site or missile launch pad is, you can definitely get through the hunters and get past them. But if he gets started, it's definitely going to be hard to shake that dart.
So he's got to be really careful. He definitely, I don't feel like he's got much of a choice other than trying to sneak in this match. They are splitting off. Again, this is something that in Hunt 2.0 I feel like it will be a much riskier play when you split into smaller groups like this. They are running 3-1, so it's not entirely risky, but there is always opportunity now, I will say, if you find one person off from or isolated from the bunch. So he definitely isn't. He's not really sneaking too much. They are on his track. He's about to have enough energy for the stage up, and I'm curious what he's going to decide to do. Because if you get stuck in, again, if you get extended, he is.
Oh no.
Ooh.
They're so close. He's going to go for the stage up. He's probably going for an all-in Wraith play. That's what I would expect him to do here. The Assault is actually out of position, so he will not take so much evolve damage.
And he is regenerating a full bar of health while in the evolve. So
yeah, that armor regen.
One single armor.
Yeah, man. Every little bit counts. He wins by like 10% HP.
It seems like he's trying to mitigate as much as possible before he decides to go all in. I agree. I feel like he is going to go all in.
Oh, the abduction dodge from Savvy.
That would have been huge for him. He gets the shield drone.
Shield drone is down, but he's going to try and focus on his Savvy, get that medic down. He does have to wait for his cooldowns to come up, does land the abduction, does hit the heavy as well.
The class cooldown, that's huge. This is a huge opportunity. If he manages to hit all of his abilities at this point, he's more than capable of getting that Kyra down. The shield on the Sunny, though, is already back up. The Assault player doing a fantastic job preventing him from getting the full focus. He's about to get the Sunny, though.
Yeah, he's going on to Spanners. Spanners does have the cloak up, though, will escape. And we do see Savvy getting hit again with that abduction, but the shield does come up from the Sunny drone. He does have to take that out, but it looks like with that Warp Blast falling.
The monster is going down, and this is going to be game right here.
Yeah.
Again, I know those comments about Wraith OP, but I'm just saying. Guys.
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is right there, it seems like they have a lot of practice against this Wraith style, or they have an idea of what they want to accomplish. Like, Ruin isn't playing Parnell because he knows that Parnell has a rough time against this Wraith. And they're playing this Wraith for the all-in style, right? Like, that's their idea is that, you know, he's going to go all in at stage 2. We know how much damage he can do here, and we're just going to fight him in that way. And, you know, the first game was definitely a sign, and I think after this one, going into game number 3 between Ninja Penguin and Mazel, I would think if I was him, I would want to change up my monster.
Yeah, totally. You can definitely see, too, that like the Assault player was on top of his game for, like, Because when you do the Warp Blast abduction build, if you deny any of those abductions, you lose a lot of your damage and you lose that opportunity for a kill. Because again, in this current game, it's a lot about getting that burst and then following up and finalizing the kill with the second iteration of burst. Whereas again, in Hunt 2.0, it's more about sustain and gradually working up to a kill. So it's not as nearly as punishing to miss one or two abilities as it is now. Like, as you saw, he missed one abduction, and it cost him the kill. He has to reset the fight, and he has to do it over again. And that is super... That is another huge stress level for monsters.
Yeah.
You know, if they miss one ability, that could be game.
Yeah.
So...
And that's the big thing, right? Especially for me, like with my Wraith now, I'm able to take Supernova at level 2, and I have enough armor to actually use it and commit.
Yeah.
Like that's the big thing. Giving a monster 1,000 more armor at a stage 2, like even in that scenario right there, it wouldn't have helped. But just having this third ability that you can use that's consistent DPS and having abduction be there, and then Warp Blast. The actually new Warp Blast has a further range. It actually goes, I believe, 36 meters. If I'm not
it
mistaken.
feels super good. Too.
Yeah, it definitely feels awesome for me. And we're going back and forth. What's going on?
Do we know what the other series ended up at?
I believe. Oh no, did he?
He crashed again or something?
Yeah, Seeds was telling me that he went on to.
Refueling tower. That's why we backed out.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, Seeds is on a Windows 10, and he's learning the hard way that OBS Evolve and Windows 10 do not equal for a good day.
Oh man, that's rough.
So, just always a reminder, guys. Don't be a first early adopter of a OS.
A new OS, yeah, for sure.
You know, I'm still on Windows XP.
So yeah, okay. So on to the game. I feel like if Mazel does pick Wraith this game, he actually has a chance because this map has a lot of foliage, has a lot of wildlife, has a lot of water, and it is big. So this map, I always like to call it. You have 3 corners to work with. Each corner is very distinctly. It has a lot of distance between each. So if you ever get the hunters to extend in any of those corners, you can kind of just zip it to any of those other points, and you can get a safe evolve off. And with the elevation gains and the water, all these elements kind of add up to a better overall distance for the monster between him and the hunters. So I'm really curious if he decides to go with Wraith yet again, but this time he actually manages to pull off some safe evolves, maybe picks off some people, and maybe even in combat the wildlife, because the wildlife in this game or in this map are pretty vicious. There's a lot of it, and maybe the water will be a factor in his combat. So there's a lot of things in this map that kind of can work out for Mazel.
Yeah.
And it's a dark map. There's a lot of dark corners. It's not a snowy map, and you can use that to your advantage in your sneak play. It's definitely a visual aspect of the map that kind of helps out monsters.
Well, we do see him busting out the Wraith again, and we do see the Sunny and the Abe. Same comp.
Yeah.
You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. I was about to say that.
So, you know, I'm a little concerned for Mazel, but I feel he has to feel confident on this map.
Yep.
This map, like you were saying, has a lot of opportunity for him, and I feel like he should be able to pull something out in order to you know, pull that one monster victory that you need in the finals, especially in this meta. We always see it's, you know, whoever can pull out a hunter or a monster victory first, and you know, Mazel looking to take that on for Apex. But he does have to go through one of the best hunter teams in the scene, Ninja Penguins, who actually have their names proper now.
Do they?
Yeah.
Oh, they do.
And they decided, like, hey, we
Usually
actually...
with the lowercase r, though.
Yeah.
But anyways, he's going to do your typical path again. Like, it is going to get you that fast, guaranteed energy, but I feel like I still don't really see hunter or monster players go for the long-term stage 1 evolves very often. And I feel like that's because of a lot of the RNG birds.
Yeah.
And that is something that I'm really excited for the Hunt 2.0, is not only because of the food spawn differences, but the bird differences that we see way more unique pathing. He actually did go decently. I mean, I don't usually take this path, but it's relatively down the same, you know, idea of things. So it's not exactly the same as what we usually see, but at the same time, he's not really getting distance from the hunters because he spawned birds and they're already on his track.
Yeah.
So at this point, against an Abe team, once you're found, it's really difficult to break away, especially with Sunny. And the stasis grenades, he's really feeling those. He's trying to use his burst, traversals, and warp blast to dodge the dome. The dome didn't even go down. At this point, this is where we talked about Wraith's burst de-traversing, and after she uses her burst, she's kind of left hanging. So if you look at the mini-map right now, if she ever uses her burst, you see that after that burst, the hunters catch up really quickly. And that's yet another thing, having the increased combat range for traversals, being from 60 to 80 meters. She will stay in combat as long as she doesn't breach that 80-meter range, or the duration. So he is going for the evolve here. Again, I'm not a huge fan of, like, you have 20 minutes in the game. I'm not a huge fan of necessarily going for the evolve
This quick.
this quick. So
But we do see the flame going on and the toxic grenade actually missed, but we do see him going with the same build. But looks like Mazel has himself a little bit of an area to work with here, and he's going to try and mitigate damage. He's not going to go for that all-in like we saw last game. He's just going to try and save as much HP as he can. We do see Hyde coming in with that flamethrower, burn him to a crisp, and we do see the abduction onto Spanners. The heavy missing. And actually see the shield drone coming out, shielding some of that damage. The Spanner is getting taken pretty low. If he gets hit by another Warp Blast or Abduction, he should go down, but he does get put back into that shield. Oh man, the shield coming in at the right time. And Abduction, oh whoa, it hits!
And look at the health.
Oh,
And that punish
man.
is it's just too much. So
Yeah, it looks like Mazel is going to fall here, and
I believe that's 3-0.
that was 3-0 for the Ninja Penguin Hunters. And I'm going to check and see what the score is over...
This is best of 5, right?
yeah, no, it's best of 7.
Oh, is it best of 7?
Yeah,
Okay.
best of 7. So I'm checking the score. I know did Source? I think Source won his first game, so I believe that means Ninja Penguin won.
I want to say yes.
Yeah, I'm believing that it is 4-0.
Again, we're gonna have some downtime here, guys. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and feel free to ask now. If that was game, we'll probably be closing it up with some questions, some Q&A. But for the most part, I think this tournament is wrapping up.
Yeah, it was 4-1 Ninja Penguins, and Source is playing his last round out on A-Seed's channel. If you guys want to watch more competitive Evolve for today, I'm going to link that in chat right now. And you guys can definitely check out Source playing his Apex one last time before this is the last time they'll play on this patch.
Yep.
So, I mean, we can talk about our games that we saw, and you guys can start lining up the questions, and we'll get to them. But, you know, those games were a perfect example of why we wanted to push this game into a more, you know, you can actually down people now because you have the consistent damage, and if he misses an ability on someone, you can't really work through it.
Yep. So somebody has a question about level 3 Lightning Bolt. Only does 66 more damage than level 3 Aftershock. As a Kraken player, what would you say is the incentive to take a much harder to hit skill, especially when a new jetpack dodge being more consistent versus taking Aftershock? You're a Kraken player.
Well, yeah, this would be my realm. The big thing with Lightning Strike now is I'm using it when I know you don't have jetpack.
Yeah.
Because my build that I take right now, I go 2 Lightning, 1 Banshee, 1 Aftershock, 2 Vortex.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that build. It keeps the Vortex at a good size because the 1-point Vortex, to be honest, I'm not that great at hitting it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just really used to, like, my muscle memory is used to a bigger size Vortex, so I like having that. The 1-point in Banshee mine's big value, but I do eat the 2-second cooldown increase because of it being a 1-point ability. And then the 1-point in Aftershock, I also eat the cooldown increase on that.
Yeah.
But I have a big damage ability there. I have consistent damage with the Vortex, and then I use the Lightning because it's the same speed as on live. It's still a hard to hit ability, but now I have way more threats. So I can use that opportunity when you're out of jetpack and you playing against me have seen it.
Yeah.
Where I'll use it not as an opener, but more of, hey, I've got you low on jetpack, and now I can use this ability.
Yeah.
And you can end up going up higher into the skill tree. On Lightning, it will have a lower cooldown. But you know, that's how I feel about this current Lightning Strike, is I still find a lot of value in it. And even if I miss it, you're going to use a jetpack dodge, but I also have more threats. Like, that's the biggest thing to think about is, like, when you're out of jetpack in the new meta, you're going to take a lot more damage.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing for us, is that now that you have all these sources of threat,
Yeah.
you know, as a monster player, like Wraith can now have Supernova at stage 2, and Goliath can have 4 abilities, and you can even take Decoy with Wraith if you're crazy.
If you're crazy.
I still
Hey,
yeah.
There's a lot of crazy people.
Yeah, there's a lot of crazy people. But I still like having that 3 points in War Blast, especially the
Yep.
new one is just sick.
It's super awesome.
Yeah.
That distance is huge. But yeah, I think you brought up a lot of good points, and then we kind of just like what we talked about too is just like the game has changed drastically in combat and out of combat, and I think one thing to keep in mind is when people keep talking about like, oh, the lower damage, all this stuff, it's not worth taking anymore, whatever, and it's pretty hard to hit. But like you brought up, you have way more sources of threat. There's a lot. If you're not dodging abilities in general and you're saving all of your jetpack just for like 1 or 2 abilities, you're gonna pay, because now you're dealing with 3 or 4 abilities all the time. And in the current meta, it's 3/3 most of the time across the board for everybody. It's like, oh, flame doesn't hurt, so I'm gonna save all my jetpack for. I mean, flame does hurt, but you're gonna save all your jetpack for the leap. And then you more than likely will dodge it. Your chances are really high. But now it's like you have to start dodging these vortex. You have to preemptively dodge vortex, preemptively dodge when Goliath gets in your face with a charge or whatever. And you're gonna have your jetpack's gonna be ran out way more for those rocks and those leaps to hit you. They won't do as much burst as they do now, but you'll be sustained damage over time. And you need to start dodging individual abilities and not just for 1 or 2.
One. You're not dodging one big ability now. You gotta worry about all these threats that he has. So I mean that's kind of a long-winded way of saying that we find, even though lightning is a hard ability to hit, also fizzle was fixed. We found a fix for that, and our boy Ben was able to bring it home for us, one of the programmers.
So much more reliability, or way more reliability for your lightning strikes and whatnot. So, and also leap smash was another thing that we fixed.
Where it actually did have a fizzle as well.
The fizzle on leap smashes should also be fixed. So another question: will the roll hit damage increase make Behemoth roll over Reavers, or does Reavers still affect the roll physics of Big B, as they say?
Yes.
So yes. So if you're taking damage, for Striders. If you're taking damage, you will roll through Striders.
That's a big thing.
But if you're not taking damage, you still bump into them, and I think they have a little bit of health. I'm not 100% sure on that. But basically, anything Striders and under, you roll right through. You might sometimes get a little bump, but for the most part, you just go right through them when they're dead. So it's also another reason why the Griffin combo got nerfed a little bit against Behemoth, because he doesn't get so many roadblocks, right? He can still keep going and going and going. What he does do best is like the long distance race car, right? So I think that we'll see a lot of stress relief from that as well. I know when I first did that, I was like, praise the gods. It was the best thing ever. And another cool thing, that was pretty cool for me to be able to do that, but with the new lava bomb, if you spawn trap jaws,
you can kill trap jaws now.
You can kill those trap jaws really quickly. And the funny thing is, in-house, I actually killed 1 pack of trap jaws, and they spawned another pack. And I killed 2 packs of trap jaws, and I almost got an entire stage up off 2 trap jaw packs.
Sharing those high-level strats.
Yeah, so pro strats.
Pro strats from guidance. We have another question about body dropping off the map. The way that bug is we have a fix in for it, but we haven't seen it. So we assume it's fixed. It's one of those things that it's so rare and we can't get a repro case of it. Yep. We do have an idea of how it happens, but it's
a very complicated issue. So it's definitely being addressed. So, but there's definitely no guarantees there.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, we're pretty confident that it's fixed now, but because we haven't seen it in the studio.
We haven't seen it.
And across our company playtest, we have a lot of people that do play Lazarus. There's a time in the day where everyone at the studio gets on for an hour, and we all play.
Yep.
There's a lot of Lazarus players.
Yeah.
We haven't heard that complaint, so we're going to assume that it's fixed, but we have our eyes on it, and if we do see any reports of it, then we'll go back to the drawing board and try and fix it again. So...
Seas Heaven Water. So if you guys have any other questions, Striders have 200, so that won't kill them. Yeah, so if you do have the damage buff, you should be able to kill them, more than likely.
Yeah, if you have the damage buff, you will.
Yeah. You will so how do you feel about the Behemoth at stage 3, calculating new roll damage and level 3 tongue fissure, being able to deal about 1400 damage to an out of position hunter in less than 5 seconds? There's a lot of factors going into that. We did notice that he has a lot of damage. But again, we will reiterate that hunters are more than capable of dodging effectively now and consistently. Everything's predictable for what you do. Like, you don't get the short leaps, you don't get the long leaps, you get this fixed. It feels really good in combat because what you see is what you get. You get the double jetpack dash, and it's pretty much consistent every single time. So this game, the meta is definitely switching over to. I mean, it's always been this way, but it's more so now where you're constantly dodging abilities, and Behemoth is all about mitigating damage by positioning yourself in good spots and dodging. And we had to balance him around that because in the high tier play, he could do a lot. Like you could do a lot to avoid his damage.
Yeah.
But if you get caught, he does a lot of damage to you. But in the meantime, he's getting punished this entire time. So if he's not able to deal the damage output well and punish players well, and you're able to dodge his damage at the same time, he's just gonna have a really bad time in competitive play. So right now we're really experimenting with the new Behemoth to see where he is in terms of higher tier play, especially with ranked mode coming out. We don't want to see him just completely just fall off at high tier. He does really well at low tier because there's a lot of out of position, general,
grouping hunters,
low dodging, and that he actually does really well at low tier. But high tier, once you see that hunters can dodge, their positioning is a lot better. He just drops. So we're trying to help kind of find like a midpoint there. We can't say we have until it's been played enough.
Yeah.
But hopefully he might be seen in competitive play.
Yeah. I think he will be, and even just to one more point on the Behemoth, like the burst damage he is talking about, all that burst damage is still counterable.
Yeah.
We're okay with monsters having burst damage as long as you can do something about it. But if you back in the day when you would get in a tumble lock and get stuck and you're like, oh, well, I'm dead, with the old Kraken Vortex lightning strike.
Yeah.
Now that you're able to, get out of the way, dodge, and get out of those tumble locks, we feel okay with monsters having that burst, and plus Behemoth has to be right on top of you to do that.
And something to keep in mind too is that it's not just damage values, right? There's a lot of factors. He's getting healed at the same time this damage is being dealt. There's Hank shields, there's invis happening, there's all kinds of factors. But will the monster catapulting bug be addressed in the next patch? Crackapult, as we call it, is fixed.
Yay!
When does this change? If time between eruptions decreased to 0.16. So
it means it's faster.
It's faster. Basically. Yeah.
Yeah, because the way it works is each one has like a timing that it will. It's like it's called staircase in the files, but that's the way it works. Like each one is a different application of damage, so that's how that works. So basically, it's faster.
Yep. So the jetpack dashes are better now. Does that mean the same amount of dash in every direction, or do I still have to face forward for maximum speed? I believe it's the same.
Yeah, same distance in all directions. Yeah. So
what about the Kraken? Hits aftershock, then vortex, and heavy, and instantly incap for. Well, the damage is lower for everything, so you shouldn't be able to do that. If you hit 4 abilities or even 3 abilities, he's still going to be really low, but it shouldn't be outright kill.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen an outright kill with 3 abilities. And plus, again, like he's going to be getting healed constantly and shields and stuff and all that other stuff.
All that jazz. But yeah, like there are times when I play this, like it happened, I think, on Friday, where I had a...
where you hit all 4 abilities.
I hit all 4 abilities and then came down for a heavy. Like it was just this normally doesn't happen.
Yeah,
right?
like this is super rare.
But it was well. I mean, it's not. Yeah, it is pretty rare actually. Like being able to hit all 4 abilities. It's just the hunter wasn't able to dodge. I got him. I caught him off guard, and then I was able to burst him down. He still had a little bit of health.
Yeah.
But I was able to come in and finish it off with a heavy and then another auto attack after that.
Yeah, totally.
So we're not. We wanted to go away from the burst gameplay because it really is not that fun. Yeah, it's not fun to see like someone just that guy died.
Yeah.
And now with this new style, it's a lot more sustained fights and a lot more sustained damage from both sides.
Now I saw that I believe boosts are physics based and account for momentum. I want to say they're not so much anymore. There's not really momentum gain. It's kind of like it's always a fixed distance. So.
That's consistent.
Yeah, so that's also something like if a hunter is going uphill or downhill and whatnot, like it's going to be the same. And the monster can also predict that a little bit and kind of use that to his advantage. It's not so much, oh crap, hunters are going downhill, they're going to catch up to me stupid fast. There's no more of that. So, yeah, we're all glad to get away from the burst gameplay. I think everybody at the office in general too is like nobody likes getting insta-gibbed, right? Like that's not fun. Everybody likes the longer duration fights and just the sustain, and there's always room for opportunity to get away from things, and it's just like, oh, he did like 2 things, now I'm dead. So
that's a big thing. We do see someone mentioning where is it? I just Wraith is all about the burst. But that's why we gave her more armor and more
Yeah.
consistent damage now through her auto attacks. Like her auto attacks are actually a big thing to give her.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to actually be online or be in line with Goliath and Kraken as far as
Yeah.
what they can do in melee. So that's a big thing why we gave her more armor. So
Yeah.
she's allowed to have the sustain fight.
And on more Spirit's point, and to use Supernova, which has always been a
Yes.
huge issue with Supernova, which is like, I have to sit here and do this thing,
Yeah.
and in the meantime, I'm getting shot and punched.
Yeah, no,
so having
it's good.
increased armor and all that stuff allows you as a Wraith player not to feel like I have to get in, out, get in, out, in, out, in, out. It's more like I can go in, sustain a fight for a while, and then get out. Especially at stage 3, the fights are much more, there's a longer duration there, and it's not all about, like current Wraiths, even when she was super strong, was
Yeah.
about getting in, doing that burst really quick, and getting out
Yeah.
instantly. And if you messed up once or twice, you're done.
And abusing the supernova heavy.
And abusing the supernova. So there's a lot of things that factor in that just make Wraith very difficult right now, and we're kind of just bringing things, pinching them into some average.
Let's see. Do you think people will move away from Hank almost every game and experiment? I think Hank will still have value in this new patch.
Totally.
I mean, he's still the old Hank. I mean,
Hank is Hank.
Hank is always going to be Hank. Like, he's always going to be a strong character. He has a really good kit.
Yeah.
His shield isn't as crazy as it used to be, though. It's,
Yep.
it's definitely rebalanced for this new gameplay. And, you know, because when we first started going at balance stuff, like, oh, we were just going to nerf Hank's damage. We weren't going to do all this. We're like, oh, you know what, let's take something away from Hank that's his power. But now Hank really has to make choices as to, am I going to focus on shield the whole game, or am I going to focus on doing damage?
Yeah.
And depending on what I do on either end, it's going to be a choice I have to make as a player, and that's a really good thing that I feel Hank is in a much better place now, and you know we definitely have our eyes on him to make sure that he's in a good spot. So
and for sure, like again, like he said, we have our eyes on things.
Yes.
We're going to be very reactive to things once
Yeah.
once it comes out. There is no way that this is going to be perfect on its first release for sure.
but I'd say it's pretty damn close.
Yeah,
We can 100% say that it's a much better game.
Oh yeah, like 110%. Like it's like honestly, like we've said it before, or at least me. I stopped playing live for a while, and I will admit I wasn't having very much fun anymore. In going like the first few games, even like early iterations of this, I was like, wow, this is fun.
Yeah, we were all
Like,
having fun.
I was having a blast with like the fact. Because I'm a charge Goliath. I love my charge. I
You
bring
said
it up
this
all the
so
time.
many
I
times.
say it all the time. And the fact that I could take charge without hurting my like rock or my leap is like huge for me. And it's just, it allows for fast, like I'm always hitting combos and stuff, and like I'm hitting 4 abilities, and it's super fun for my style. That's a style I love, and now I can go it.
Yeah.
And I know that like leap, 3 flame became a strong build for a while there.
Yeah.
And for me personally, that's not fun.
Yeah.
Like I do a leap, then I flame. I do a leap, then I flame. Right? That's not fun. It wins. It's play to win, right? But it's not fun.
Yeah.
So for me, I can hit 4 abilities now, and I'm constantly using abilities, constantly jumping left and right, going all over the place.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's super fast paced, and it's like it's not only fun for me, but it's fun for the hunters and spectators for sure.
Yeah, you know, spectators are gonna love watching this.
So it's like super fast paced.
Especially in that new Observer client.
Man,
I tell you what, man, the guys and gals,
Yeah.
you know, can't forget Anna over there, doing a really good job giving this new Observer client that I think so many, like you guys haven't even seen it yet. It's just in the notes, but you guys are gonna love it.
Yeah.
There's a new minimal mode where it's you can have the health bars at the bottom. You can see everything.
It's fancy.
It's fancy. It's really nice.
Yeah.
You guys are gonna love it. It's gonna be awesome. Tuesday. We have another question: is Val viable in this patch? And I would take this question, and I would say yeah. Like, she definitely has her place, and you know, being that you can get a lot more done in the early game, having the 1,000 less armor on most of the monsters, you can definitely get a lot more done, and especially with the weak points, you can help get into that health damage way quicker.
Oh yeah, totally. Like so it definitely with this change, it might sound scary at first, but even though monsters are stronger earlier on, hunters are also technically stronger because of the armor reduction, right? So like, because the hunter damage didn't really change too much, if at all. So they're still doing the same damage but less armor. So those early game not only does the monster have a stronger a stronger chance at killing those early game comps that completely wipes monsters out with no chance whatsoever, but there's more. Again, we're squeezing things together.
Yeah.
Right. Like this Valve Cabot comp or whatever, this extreme comp that can completely decimate you in one dome is now. It's still as strong, but the monster always has a better chance to fight you. So eventually, things are just starting to squeeze together. Right. So. That's the general idea, is that both sides don't feel like, shit, I'm screwed, I can't do anything. And that's the biggest idea, is to get away from that. And that's the meta that we're in, right? Like, I can't do anything, you're going to dome me on the evolve because I can't fight back, and the only thing I can do is evolve, right? So...
Yeah, I mean, Val definitely has her place, and we do have our eyes on her. She is kind of one of those hunters that if she's too strong, she's definitely super frustrating to play against. So we have our eyes on her, and if she needs to be adjusted for this new meta, internally we've played her, and we play her on a full aggressive comp with the Val Cabot.
Yeah.
And as you know, Val Cabot Abe has some painful moments.
Yeah. So we have a question. Will the new hunters allow a Val bucket comp to win? I would say yes. I think bucket in general is in a much better spot. The thing that we like to test, I think that we played once or twice, was the bucket Torvald. With the longer the frisbee hit markers, they last longer. So this gives more chance for the turrets to hit for a much longer duration.
Is going to be
so bucket
scary.
Torvald, and plus it's the punish for going in one spot for too long, right? Torvald and bucket are kind of like they're just made for each other.
The aerial denial comp. Yeah. And you can run Cairo with them because before you're like, oh, Laz bucket was the way to go, but now with the new Torvald frisbee combined with bucket, I feel like they're going to be a match made in heaven kind of thing.
Yeah, pretty much. So that'd be really cool to see in the future too, is just to see comps that aren't played. Yeah. Just on a general scheme of things. I feel like teams will still play what they're comfortable with for a very long time until they realize experimenting with something else. Yeah. And they realize, holy crap, this could be a thing, right? So like even like Slim wasn't played for the longest time on release. And that was just one character. Yeah. So we're doing all of these changes. So I don't expect things to change drastically on release. But I think give it a week or two or 3 or
give
even
people
a month.
time. People
are like, wow, I'm capable of doing this, and this, right? So I think things are going to be definitely changing no matter what way we look at it.
Let's see. Get a little
Vexen,
one of our Battlefy admins.
Yep.
Good guy, a player on a Team Evolve hype. They are going for the major. A lot of you, Cliff and I, this was our first day doing casting. A lot of it was just kind of, hey, we're going to wake up and go for it. I hope you guys enjoyed it, because this is definitely our first time. And if there's feedback for us, go ahead and contact me on Steam. Let us know. Tell everyone about it. Or talk to us about it, rather. Not tell everyone about it. We've been at it for most of the morning, but I'm glad you guys all came and hanged out, and I'm really looking forward to this new patch. Yep. And it's going to be a lot of fun.
One more day.
Yeah.
Two more days.
One more day.
Yeah.
But, guys, definitely give us some feedback. Let us know what's going on, and you can expect to see us more in the future.
Yeah.
And we'll get that production quality going and everything set up.
Eventually.
But for everyone coming in the chat, go if you want to know more about the Hunt 2.0 stuff, definitely go on our forums. I'll probably be on there for most of the day answering questions. If you guys have questions, you can even direct it at one of us, and we can start answering those. We're going to be on the forums for most of the day. And definitely shout out to A-Seeds who casted today. Definitely always give them some support. I'll make sure we give a link in the chat before we sign out. But again, guys, thank you all so much. And it's been a blast. It's been fun, and I hope you guys all enjoyed it. But I literally did email you guys with feedback. Thanks, Tara. That's our producer for. Do we call it an esports team now? I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's just a bunch of people that are really passionate about Evolve competitive. So she's one of the people there helping us out, making strides for Evolve esports.
Yeah,
so
totally.
You guys are going to be seeing a lot more in the future, hopefully from us, and I'm excited. And definitely, you guys, make sure you check out that Hunt 2.0